Hey guys, how's everybody doing on this Thursday evening? I hope my sound is okay. Hold on a second. I just have to adjust something really quick. Okay, there we go. How's everybody doing? Hi. If you haven't done so already, before we get started, Teresa's not here just yet, but I know that she will be along shortly. If you haven't done so already, would you do me a big favor and give your girl a thumbs up on the stream? I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you. I'm glad that you guys that you like the intro. It took me a minute. That one was a little bit difficult. Had to do some adjusting, and I still see some issues, some timing. I need to adjust, but I'm going to leave it because I got other stuff I got to do. So, the search warrant was unsealed, right? And it contained some things. Hey, Idaho. And then it didn't contain some things. And did it contain all the things? But before that even happened, and I'm waiting. I'm trying to stall, waiting for Teresa to get here because I want to talk about this with her. There was news has broken. New news. Big new news. Huge new news. I don't know about huge, but it's big and it's kind of important and it's interesting and apropos that it come out now because, hey, last breadstick. Good to see you. Hi, everyone. Hi. If I haven't said hi to everybody. Teresa's on her way. She'll be here shortly. But it's kind of apropos what just broke because I myself have been questioning things. There she is.
Hello. Sorry, I was shoving my face with pizza real quick.
Well, I didn't tell anybody that. I just said that you were on your way and should be here shortly.
I figured you'd definitely let everybody know. So I'm like, here, I'll just put it out there.
No way, Jose. I got you. I got you, babe. I got you.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so glad. It's been a year.
Yeah, it's been a year already, and it's the 19th.
Literally, it's been exactly a year. Do you remember the case that we covered together first?
The first one, didn't I come in when Chazzle Dazzle was going?
Yeah, but what did we do together?
Oh, we did the corn rake killer.
Yes, we did. And that was a good time. And that was exactly a year ago. Me too. That was exactly a year ago. Mm-hmm.
Was it really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
You know how I remember? Because you guys made me those gorgeous birthday videos. And my birthday's in a week. Yeah. It's on the 28th. I'm going to be 46 years old. I'm old, Joe.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm 43.
You're not right there with me. You're younger.
Not really. I mean, at this point, it's kind of all the same. It kind of all just goes together. I don't even know the difference. Half the time, I'm like, I'm 40. I'm 40 something. I don't even know anymore.
That's okay. I asked my youngest daughter how old I was the other day, and she still thinks I'm 42. So that's good.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
My oldest used to argue with me, and he would always think on my birthday I was turning a year younger than I was actually turning. And he was like adamant. And like he would get really mad when I was like, no, I'm gonna be 37. He's like, no, you're not, you're 36. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna be mad at you.
Fine. That's how old I am. I will say that when my youngest son made me, you know how they always in elementary school or whatever, I'm just waiting for the notifications to go out and we're just gonna kick it. So while we wait for people to come in. Oh, thank you, Amy Eck. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. He made me one of those Mother's Day things, and it was all about my mom, right? And he thought that I was 19. I mean, I was young when I had him, but
That's
at that
so nice.
point, I had my youngest daughter, so I was way over 21. I think I was about 25, maybe 26 at that point. And he's like, my mom's like 19. The thing I like the best about her is she cooks good and she watches cartoons with us.
Oh, hell yeah. That's the best. That's the best right there. That's the best mom.
I do. Low-key, you guys don't tell anybody. This is just between me and you and the whole Ash YouTubes. Sometimes I miss the kids so much that every once in a while I'll watch a freaking SpongeBob episode because I miss them so much.
Aww.
I do. I do.
Brings back the memories.
It does. It does. So I'm so glad that you're here. I would have been glad. I'm glad anyway, but it's extra fortuitous that you're here tonight. Did you see the latest? Not the latest you sent me, but the latest.
I think that was the latest I've seen because I went and got pizza and then ate. What's
Okay.
happened now?
Well, the judge has had enough, y'all.
Oh,
She
I did
has
see that. I
had
did see that.
enough.
Yeah. Yes.
And I think this is incredibly fortuitous, and I find it quite apropos because Teresa and we do chat, and she had sent me another article from People Magazine in which a former employee at the Mad Greek says that Brian did dine at the restaurant like a couple of times, something like, and then a couple of weeks before the murders.
Mm-hmm.
So
Orders vegan pizza.
Yes. I don't even know what the point of that is. Well, I guess I do. I could be vegan except for the cheese. The cheese is the deal breaker. I'd be loving cheese, even though I'm
I don't even know what the point of the pizza would be. Yeah, no cheese.
I'm lactose intolerant. I don't know what they put on it. Is it like a salad? Because I like a salad too. But anyway, I've been thinking about it because stuff has come out, right? The last thing that came out from People was that Brian had messaged two of the victims or one of the victims on Instagram repeatedly.
Yeah,
and
one of them.
I was thinking one of them, and that's how much it stayed in my brain, because to be quite frank with you, I don't believe it. And let me tell you why. Because I think that had that been the case, that would be extremely compelling evidence. And I do think that it would probably have been in the probable cause affidavit. I do. I think it would have been in there. And the other part of that is the gag order. And I've been reading up on the gag order. I've been reading up on a ton of legal stuff because I wasn't understanding some things, and I wanted to, and then I did understand some things, and I had a theory about things, but I wanted to substantiate.
I needed to know all the things that I didn't understand.
Correct.
I needed to prove that I did actually know the shit that I knew.
Exactly.
And
then I even copied links so that I could cite my sources for this evidence, or for this, for the explanation where I derive the information from. Okay. So I was thinking about this gag order because it says a source close to the investigation. Now, in my mind, I feel like that has to be somebody connected with law enforcement, only because I would think that the families are privy to some information, but I wouldn't think that that would be one of the things that they would be privy to.
unless it's Kaylee.
And even then, I'm not 100% certain that they would be privy to it. But I thought to myself, I said, self, who would risk their job for a blurb in People Magazine, their online edition, and they're not even credited, right? It's anonymous. So it doesn't, to me, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But then this came out, and it came out from, I got it from the Statesman. No, maybe later. Thank you. Don't be offering me anything. I don't need no more subscriptions. I'm good.
The Idaho Statesman always wants you to subscribe or follow or whatever. Join. I don't even know what it is.
And I will, maybe at another point, but not today. I have way too many. All right. So this article goes like this. I'm going to give you guys my dramatic reading. Brace yourselves. All right. The already widespread gag order in the quadruple homicide case against Brian Kohberger has been updated to prohibit more people from talking about the case. Latah County Magistrate Judge Megan Marshall amended the non-dissemination order, commonly known as a gag order, Thursday, to now include attorneys who are representing a witness, victim, or victim's family. The order previously included prosecutors, defense attorneys, investigators, and law enforcement personnel. The initial order was issued on January 3rd, just before Kohberger was transferred back to Idaho to face 4 counts of first-degree murder for the deaths of 4 University of Idaho students, seniors, Maddie Mogan, 21, Kaylee Goncalves, 21, Zana Kernodle, 20, and Ethan Chapin, also 20. The Moscow Police Department, in a news release when the order was initially released, said they'd, quote, no longer be communicating with the public or the media regarding this case, end quote. A coalition of at least 18 news outlets from around the region, including the Idaho Statesman, have retained an attorney to challenge the gag order. Parties are prohibited. This is the part that I was confused about. Parties are prohibited from publicizing information that would be inadmissible evidence and could risk creating an impartial trial if the information was disclosed according to the order. Previously, the order just prohibited parties from sharing the following: evidence, the character, credibility, reputation, or criminal record of an involved party, results, performance, or the refusal to participate in any tests or examinations, any opinion, quote, as to the merits of the case or claims or defense of party, end quote, and any information that could interfere with a fair trial, which is very broad. The Latah County Clerk's Office declined to provide any clarity, stating that they can't, quote, interpret the order. When asked if there was someone who could interpret the order, a Statesman reporter was told, quote, no. Idaho Judicial Branch spokesperson Nate Papino told the Idaho Statesman by that it's not unusual for the clerk's office to decline to comment on an order. Quote, judges speak through their order, Papino said. Court staff cannot provide legal advice or interpretation of what those orders mean. We always refer back to the orders themselves, end quote. So that's that. She's done had enough.
Okay, so do you think the newer gag order that came out today then is to shut down these quote unquote leaks?
Yes.
That are not coming then from law enforcement, that are coming from family attorneys? Potentially. Oh.
Because see, there are laws regarding publications, online, newspaper, media, that they don't typically have to reveal their sources, but there are situations where they can be made to reveal their sources or be held in contempt of court. Those are not laws that I'm 100% familiar with, nor am I at even 2% comfortable talking about them, because I'm not familiar with them. I'm not an attorney. I'm not even familiar with them as it relates to like a trial that I've watched. So I can't even give like a lesson that I learned from a trial watching. I just know that it does happen. So to me, it seems like that the judge is not doesn't know where the leaks are coming from, but it would be very interesting if after this updated dissemination order comes out, if the leaks stop, given who they've now included in the non-dissemination order. Right?
True. I'm just curious because I mean, like the one from today would be the ex-employee of Mad Greek, which I still find interesting because they came out originally and said that they did not believe that he had ever been a customer there. So now there's somebody who's an ex-employee who's saying that he was a customer there.
Thank you. And that's okay. I was driving myself bananas like 15 minutes before we were supposed to go live. Because I knew that I had read that. I knew that the restaurant had come, the Mad Greek had come out and said
Hmm.
that they did not recall ever serving Kohberger. They don't remember him being there.
Yep.
And then all of the sudden, here comes this ex-employee who's like, hello, yes, he was served here. He had vegan pizza at least twice a week or whatever it was she said. I don't think she said all that, but I know vegan pizza.
And I don't know if she sounded like that either, but you know, probably close to it.
Probably. I mean,
well, I thought it was interesting when they very first came out, because I'm like, how in the world would a business be able to account for every single customer that's ever been into their place? You know what I mean? Like, if I've gone into one pizza place and I've only gone there once, maybe twice, are they going to know who I am?
well, I think that depends. And I'll tell this is the dependent. I think it depends on the pizza place, number one, and the size of the town, because they know me up at the Shell because I go there
Right.
frequently. Okay. And I live
Right.
in a bigger city. They used to know me when I lived in Texas they used to know me at Snappy Jack's too, because that's the nearest gas station. And so I think if you were a frequent person, yes. And the thing is, this is things like this do sometimes happen, and they are actual real stories. People don't know what they know sometimes, and this is why the law enforcement will put out, like, if you were in this general vicinity on this date between these hours, yada yada yada, contact, right? Which is why they did that map when they wanted the video surveillance. They put out that map of the places that they were looking for, the area, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because people don't know what they don't know, and they don't maybe they did see something and they don't even realize what they saw, but then when he got arrested, I will say this about Kohberger. Every picture that I've seen of him going like way back, and anytime he's made an appearance like live and in person, he has a very, very intense look. His when he makes contact with a person, it's very intense. Even when I was watching during when they read when he waived his right first to the speedy preliminary hearing, he said something. There was an exchange between he and his attorney, and he smiled.
Oh
Now
yeah,
his mouth was smiling. His
his eyes were
eyes
not.
or not. And I would think that that would be something very memorable because it isn't very common. Like, I'm an intense human being just generally, but like, I'm also, my eyes do smile. When if I'm smiling, my whole face smiles. You know what I mean? And I
Same.
am, and I and I laugh and I'm lighthearted the most of the time. But when I'm really passionate about something, then I'm really like, I'm serious, and I can be very intense, and I'm a lot for people to take sometimes because it's real hard for me to change my mind once I've made it up. Very stubborn.
No.
That's what it is. It is what it is. But I noticed it only because, like I said, his mouth was smiling, but his eyes were not. Like you can see in the picture in the background, the girls and Ethan, their whole entire faces are smiling.
Mm-hmm.
And he is just very intense. And I just feel like it would stick. I would think he would be memorable. Also, the fact that, I mean, I don't know, but I don't necessarily believe the Instagram story, nor do I exactly believe this new story either.
I'm very curious about the Instagram story. That one's interesting to me because of one, there was just a bazillion fake accounts that came out like immediately, and I know people are like, well, he had a real account, and I do think that there was one of them that potentially could have been real. I was live pretty quick right after like that happened, and we were going through them, and I had already taken a bunch of screenshots of even fake ones. And the only thing is the one that was potentially real was only following Maddie and Kaylee, I believe. It was only two of the three girls.
Mm-hmm.
So this article is interesting to me because it says that he's following all three girls, but that account was only following two of them. So I don't know.
Interesting.
I'm shook.
Yeah, Shmita's always shooketh. I be shooketh in Shmita all the days. I just, I, this is my thing. I respect the justice system and I want him to have a fair trial because I want them to get, I want the right person convicted for the right crime, right? If he is the person who's done this, and at this point, he does have the presumption of innocence, okay, because that's how our justice system works. Do I
Correct.
think that as the evidence is starting to mount, he has some definite explaining to do? Faux show. There are some things that might be easier to get a little reasonable doubt in, but there are things that are going to be much more difficult for there to be reasonable doubt in. And um, I feel like I feel like I honestly think that even if the jury doesn't believe that it throws out the sheath, right? Let's say that's the only DNA they have, right? Um, and they don't believe it, or they feel like there's a reasonable or plausible explanation. I feel like there is enough other circumstantial evidence at this point that the window for reasonable doubt is closing. But then I got stuck on the latent shoe print
Okay.
because I was thinking about it a lot. I've been thinking about all of the things because whenever I went through the PCA and then I went through the search warrant, my brain will analyze everything that I read and take it all in. And then I immediately start looking for the loophole, only because I know that's what a defense attorney is going to do, right? So I try to look
Right.
at it from both sides. And I was thinking about this latent print. And one of the things that struck me is how they said that in the PCA that they did a presumptive test for blood. And which is interesting to me because typically when you think of a latent print, any type, whether it's a shoe print or a fingerprint, the latent implies that you can't see it with the naked eye. It isn't something that is like immediately noticeable. It doesn't mean it's invisible. It just means that it's something you don't see right away, like not like a on a glass or something. It's on some other surface, or you're just testing surfaces. Shoe prints work the same way, latent shoe prints. So I started looking at it, and then I started looking up the test that they used and what the limits were for the test. And I find it interesting that the language in the PCA reads that it tests for cellular molecules. But when you actually look up the amino black, which it's not under amino black, it automatically, and believe me, it was a source of consternation for me because I kept saying, I know what the frick I just typed. Stop making it amido black. AMIDO instead of
Yep.
AMINO. I did it 37 times because I was annoyed.
So you
But
wanted to
it's
look up amino?
because that's how it's listed. It's spelled AMINO, black, in the PCA, which might have been a typo. It might have been like an autocorrect thing.
It has to be a typo.
It has to be.
It's amido
So
black is what
it
it
is
is.
amido black, which at
It's that
first I
blue
wasn't
stuff.
sure. Yes. So I
Yeah.
read up all about that. And it is, okay. In
So you
order for,
typed it. Does it say amino or amido?
it's in the PCA, it's AMINO.
Okay, hold on. Let me see. Yeah, I don't know why it would.
I think it was an autocorrect situation.
Or
Hi
maybe
to
not, because
everybody coming in.
it's an amino acid staining azo dye, but it's called, the name of it is amido.
Right.
But
So
it
I
is
don't
an
know.
amino acid.
All right. Okay. But I just wanted, just so you guys know, it comes up that way. And you don't need to retype it 37 times because it's the right search. is what I'm
Right.
trying to say.
Yeah. But the name of it's amido. Yeah. That's like it's the product name. It's not.
Yes.
It's like you guys. I know that most of you guys have followed the case forever, so you guys know when they were doing the back sliding door, and you saw the big strip of blue that was up. It was amido black that they used. It's like a blue substance.
And it's
But
excellent for it is excellent for like fingerprints or shoe prints in blood because it the way that it reacts makes the if it's a fingerprint, all the ridge detail is excellent. It doesn't it works extremely well on like non-porous surfaces, and it's you know it's works. It does what it's supposed to do. But what I was
mhm,
confused about is why they would do a presumptive test for blood. Because first you would do the presumptive test for blood. This is how they did it. First, they did a presumptive test for blood, and then they used the amido black. Okay.
mhm.
So if they were doing a presumptive test for blood, then was the shoe print in blood? And if it was, then how they wouldn't have missed it on the second go around, right? I mean, on the first go around, that would be something that was noticed immediately, right?
Well, I don't know because they had those hardwood floors that I'm wondering if the impressions kind of just blended into the hardwood floor.
In blood.
Well, if it was light, yeah, I'm thinking it would because they only found one, or they only talk about finding one. So to
Right.
me, it seemed like the impression was light. You know what I mean? Otherwise, why wasn't there prints like
Right.
multiple?
Right. So then I started looking it up. So I wanted to understand how it works and what its limitations are. And it
Okay.
is very similar to luminol in that
Mm-hmm.
it does react to blood,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not a test for blood. It's only to help enhance and illuminate a fingerprint or a footprint. But
With blood.
with blood or other body fluids. It
Correct.
it
Yep.
works on both. So then I looked to see, then the next thing I looked up was the presumptive blood test. So what I found a ton of information, including like all the ones that have ever been used ever in the history of this, right? And then I looked up their various limitations. And then but then I was like, okay, this is not, it's all helpful information. So I understand. But what I really was curious about is, well, what did they likely use?
Mm-hmm.
So I looked up that one. So how I looked that up is what is the most common type of presumptive test? And what I came up with is, hold on, I'll tell you because I sent it to myself. All right. It's the phenolphthalein,
Okay.
that one. Okay. And it has limitations as well. It reacts to some like fruit juices. And hold on, I'll tell you. It says a positive phenolphthalein protein react or sorry, a positive phenolphthalein, God, that's a hard word, reaction is indicative of blood. It is only a presumptive test and false positives are possible. Additionally, the reaction is not species specific. Positive reactions are not limited to human blood. So the thing is, the other part of it is when they put this amido black on this shoe impression, if it was blood, unless they sampled it before they developed it, it ruins the sample. It cannot be taken for DNA. I learned that too.
Okay.
But I was thinking about, because I just wanted to understand it. I wanted to understand how it got there, right? Like why it was in the probable cause, why it was written the way that it was written. And because it's used to corroborate, see what I did there? Um, it was used to corroborate Dylan's part of her statement, right? And then I got to thinking about Vans. Vans, like Converse and Adidas, have a very, very distinct shoe impression. And they're calling it the triangle or diamond. Okay. If anybody has Vans, go get your Vans and look at the Vans. The diamond pattern is on the toe and the heel. In the middle of the shoe, it's more like a hexagon. So that means that this diamond pattern was this, that it was, I don't think it was a complete shoe impression. I think it was either the foot, the toe part, or the heel part.
Okay, aren't they different though? Don't some have it throughout the whole thing, like those old school ones?
No, because my husband has Vans. I have several pairs of Vans. My daughter has several. She has the slip-on ones. She has the tie ones. She has the old school, the checkered Vans, the slip-on ones, all of that. Every single
They all go to the hexagon in the middle.
Yep.
Okay. Like around the sole, like they're around the
your arch, where your arch would be, right there. They're all like that. I pulled everybody's shoes out because I wanted to know.
So it's diamond in the front and diamond in the back.
Right. It's a little different in the middle, but it would. Now let me say this: everybody wears their shoes. The wear on a person's sole of their shoes is individual. There's a lot of variables. The way you walk, some people roll, yada yada yada. It's very possible that, depending on the age of the shoes, that perhaps they left part of a diamond, like in where the arch would be. I just don't know what it looks like. But then I thought about too, how come there's only one? But then I thought about it even more, and I was like, okay, and brace yourselves. And if anybody's eating, I apologize right now, but this is the only freaking thing I could think of. Okay, that would be like a real world application. We've all stepped in dog poop. How many of us have stepped in dog poop on both shoes?
I have. It's very rare, but I have done it.
Very rare. It's possible, but what is more common?
You just step on one.
You just step in one because of the way your foot works, the way the gait, your way you walk, right? So to me, I'm putting it all together to see if it makes sense. And what I can tell you is I can't tell you, I don't know how much that shoe print is going to hold up in court. Vans are a very common shoe among everybody because even I'm old as dirt and I still wear Vans. Right. My kids all wear Vans.
That was actually something that I wanted to talk about too, was if you notice in the search warrant, they don't remove any Vans. They don't remove any shoes.
There's a lot of things that I think they took out. I was at Kate's last night and she played footage of them bringing stuff out of the apartment. And it looks like a whole lot more than what was listed.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So we don't know everything. We just know some things. And one thing I want to talk about with respect to that search warrant list. So search warrant lists, what they've released is not all of it. But I
don't even know why they released any of it.
I don't either. But the hair. So you know how there was different hairs, but they were listed separately? It's
so then there's the one thing of hair that's 8. It says 8 possible strands of hair.
Right, because it was likely collected off of a single item.
Correct.
From
and then
a single place.
Individual hairs. And so like there's a whole argument, like if the hairs that are listed have to do with the 8 hairs, and it's like, obviously not. There's not 8 hairs listed. They have to be separate hairs.
And they're listed by where they're found. So along with that list, okay, we're just getting like the search warrant list. What's that? What is it they give people for dummies? You know, those short books, you know, like when you have to read a big book, but then they give you the crib sheet. It's an old school thing. Okay. That's kind of like what we got. So then,
well, I'm wondering if that has to do with, and I haven't gone back, and I was thinking this today, and I was like, well, if we're going to do this live tonight, we can look at it tonight too.
Of course.
Did the list, was it what Dawn removed? Or
I
like,
thought that
you know what
makes
I mean? Like, is it
because
specific to who wrote that part of it? Not what was removed in its entirety, but what was removed by that individual or that individual's team.
and see, I'm thinking that you have an excellent point there, and I'm also thinking that that is subject to the way that each police department, CSI team, yada yada yada, does things. I don't think that there's like a absolute protocol, you know what I mean, for that
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. So I think everybody does it a little bit differently. So I think that you're probably right that perhaps the reason that we got that is because that is what was written by Dawn, and therefore it
Yeah,
um
that's what I'm going to pull it up real quick so I can look at it while we talk.
right. They do list everything. Okay. What I'm saying is they don't release everything. There is a list of every item that was collected. Not each item that was collected has an evidence number and a description of what it is, where it was found, and who collected it. Okay. And then when it goes over to the crime lab, that number, the evidence number, will be given to will be carried over to the crime lab. But there are times, and I only know this because of the West Memphis District, because I poured through so many of those, that crime lab will give it its own number, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they don't disregard the evidence number. It's still there.
It
And
just ties
then
to it.
it just ties to it. And then when it goes to trial, then it has an even different number, but they're all referencing the same thing, which it took me a while to understand. To I understood it all already, but when you're going back after the fact and you're trying to look at those, when you go to look first at the evidence list, then you look at the lab list and the results and everything, it's a
Mm-hmm.
lot because they don't continue to use the same number. It's just as far as it's very I don't know how to explain it. I'm like fumbling around. It's they do continue to use the same number, but sometimes it's difficult to understand and coordinate what number they're talking about. And then even when it gets to the trial, it sometimes becomes a little complicated, but it's all inventoried and there is an absolute chain of custody. And anytime that the evidence seal is broken, the person who broke it, who put it on there signs it, the person who broke it signs it. If it gets re-put on, they sign it. There's a whole list so that so everybody knows what everybody else is doing. But I promise you that the evidence list that came with that search warrant unsealing yesterday is not everything. It's not even close to everything from his apartment. And then remember, they searched his car too, and they searched his office.
The car is going to be a big thing to me.
Yes.
That's where everything's going to be, in my opinion. Where the
Mm-hmm.
most evidence is going to be in that vehicle. So I did
Yep.
pull it up, and it is signed off on by Don Daniels.
Okay.
It states items seized. All items all seized from residents and currently stored at WSUPD. So now you can take this a couple ways. It says all stored at WSUPD. So is this the list of items that's stored there? Is this the entirety? Is this the list in its entirety? I don't know. I'm curious about that.
I need for them to be more specific. If any of the law enforcement people are listening to this show, which you're probably not, but if somebody recommends it to you, if you're just perusing the YouTubes and this comes up and you're recommended, let us know. Or how about I know you can't talk, but for future reference, could you make your reports that are going to be released to the public a little bit more clear? Please. Some of them are a little vague and ambiguous and can be taken multiple ways.
And so somebody mentioned that there is a video of the bag being removed that's full of shoes. So I just want to clarify, because I don't remember there being a bag that was removed from his apartment, but I do remember the bag of shoes being removed from the King Street house. Is there another one? And you just watched that video last night. I haven't watched that since they did it, when they took the stuff out of his house.
I saw totes and evidence bags. I don't recall a bag of shoes.
Someone said they got his laptop. I don't know if that's verified, though. Huh?
Now, I will say this. What I would suspect and what makes the most logical sense to me is that they're very well aware of the size of the shoe that was left and have probably likely ruled out it either that it belongs to anybody in that home. The only
Yeah,
other person in
later
that
thing if
home
belongs to somebody in that house, and they put it in the probable cause affidavit, though.
do what?
It would be very interesting if that shoe print actually belonged to somebody else in the house, and they put it in that affidavit. That does not make sense.
Wouldn't it? See, the car is where I think it's all going to be at,
I agree.
because that is the first place that he had contact with right after the event, right? So if anything flaked off, and the thing is, you can be the best cleaner in the world, and I myself am a pretty damn good cleaner. You would be amazed at what I can do with a bottle of Fabuloso and some elbow grease, for reals. Okay, I know I've impressed a few people. They're like, oh no, this thing is dry. No, it's not. Let me get the Fabulosa. For reals. So, but you always miss. Unless he was going through that vehicle with Q-tips, and even then
no
it
way.
might be difficult. They miss. Which brings me to something else that I want to. Oh, but before I talk about that, I do want to tell you guys, I went and looked at the discovery request again, okay? Because I wanted to understand, there's a lot of kerfuffle about this co-defendant. And I wanted to understand why that was in there, what explanation it could be. So I went to the ICR 16, which is the Idaho state. It's the Idaho, what is it called? The State of Idaho Judicial Branch, Idaho Criminal Rule 16, Discovery and Inspection. Okay. And they reference B. So there's A, and it's all written in here. But then you keep scrolling, explains B, right? Then you scroll some more, keep on scrolling, because it tells you, oh my goodness. Disclosure of evidence by the defendant on written request. Except as otherwise provided in this rule, the defendant must, at any time following the filing of charges against the defendant on written request by the prosecuting attorney. Oh, this is their disclosures. This is not what I wanted. Sorry. Keep going.
You're doing such a good job, though.
I know. Keep going. Hold on.
Oh, S. Hockett, that's interesting. She's picturing it like Dexter style, where like his entire car is covered in plastic. Because that was part of it too for me, was I don't know how there's no way he didn't get anything in his car. So,
okay, here it is. E, failure to make written request waiver. Any request by a party for information, evidence, or material under subsections B and C of this rule must be in writing with the original request filed with the court and a copy served on the prosecuting attorney or the defense attorney or self-represented defendant. Failure to file and serve the request constitutes a waiver of the right to discovery under subsections B and C of this rule. If no written request for discovery is filed and served by the defendant will not be permitted to raise as error in any subsequent proceeding the failure of the prosecution to disclose the information as described in subsection B of this rule, which is the part that talks about the co-defendant. So if they do not, at the very beginning, when they file for, hey, Gail, thank you so much. If the defendant does not, as part of the discovery request, include a co-defendant in the initial filing of the discovery request, should there, through the development and subsequent investigation, should there be a co-defendant developed, they are not entitled to anything that the co-defendant says, any of the co-defendant's information, if any of their statements, and anything pertaining to a co-defendant. That's part of Idaho's rule of discovery. That's why they included it. It doesn't mean that there is a co-defendant. It is to prevent them not being able to, should there be a co-defendant, which I don't think there will be, but should there be a co-defendant, then his defense counsel is entitled to anything developed in the investigation against the co-defendant. If they didn't file it, they wouldn't get it. It is a preventative measure. It is a way to cross the I's. No, cross the T's and dot the I's. I do too. I can't ever get it right, but that's what it's for.
I'm crossing and dotting all kinds of the wrong stuff.
So that the attorney in this case is quite familiar, clearly, as we can see by this lengthy Miss America level explanation that I just gave. That's why she did it. She's completely competent. She knows all the loopholes, all of them. Oh, thank you, friend B, very much. Thank you so much. Yes, there is no NK in this case.
I don't know. There very well could be. His last name is Kohberger.
Yeah. Oh dear. Oh my. So then once I was done processing the search warrant, I got to being curious about this animal hair, potential dog hair, because that's how it's referred. We don't know if it is a dog hair at this time. And I then Googled another thing, because I have a Labrador, but I've heard of these like Labradoodles and Golden Doodles, and they're hypoallergenic. So then I Googled, oops, I can't spell. Oops. To see if they shed.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't shed all over the house, but they do shed. They shed. They shed. So anytime anything with hair can come out in any number of ways. Their hair comes out. So then I was curious, and I haven't gotten to this part. This is another project that I'm working on. I know that there are many, many times where dog hair has been used in the United States in murder trials. But what I don't know is, because we have advanced so much, I don't know what the criteria is for a dog hair to be tested to see if it has DNA, and if it can be tested for DNA, which I would imagine that it could be. But I am looking to see if there's been a precedent set to see if a dog DNA has ever been used in a trial before, because those kinds of things are interesting to me, fascinating to me. So I'm curious about that and what the ramifications could mean, because I think that there is a potential loophole for the dog hair. And just brace yourselves. It's not like Kohberger had his own personal washer and dryer. It was basically, community. It was a laundromat. Yeah. He didn't have his own washer and dryer. Me and Allie 79 were talking about this.
Yeah, and I'm like, as soon as there's a cat that comes up in any one of those apartments.
Exactly. Or think about it. Even if, because Allie asked me, she said, well, what do you think? Because I looked at his apartment complex, but I didn't look into it like that. To see if there was what their pet policy was. Okay. But even if,
well, it doesn't matter. I mean, look at the pet policy for where she lived.
Well,
They-
I was
there's
clearly
people-
ignored.
That was
But
clearly ignored.
let's just say, for the sake of argument, right? There is that everybody is adhering to the pet policy. Just because they don't have a pet in their apartment doesn't mean that they don't visit people who have pets. And animal hair is very easily transferred. I know my husband is in and out of people's homes all day legally. It's part of his job. But when he comes home, he has animal hair on him, and he has animal scent too, because Alice always sniffs him, and so does Nestor. Alice always gives him a dirty look. So
Okay,
that's
so
all I'm
hold on real
saying.
quick. So no animals, birds, or reptiles may be kept, fed, or allowed to visit on or about the premises. If a pet is found in your apartment will be notified and fined $100. A second infraction will result in eviction. Pets are only allowed to stay in Yakima Village 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units upon submitting the proper paperwork and paying the appropriate fees. So I don't know what the hell Yakima Village is, though. So let me go figure that out.
Okay.
I think that's a different set of apartments.
Amy Eck has cut for the win. Okay. I'm a professional dog groomer of over 26 years. I like that you started out listing, just like the PCA and the search warrant, with your credentials. That's very important. I love it. Doodle shed, just not as noticeable because the shedding hair gets trapped in the kinky hair. Matting is a huge issue with these dogs. Well, there you go.
All right. So from my understanding, it comes down to a lot of the genetics too. So you've got the Labradoodle, the Golden Doodle, and the doodle part is the oodle from poodle, right? And the poodle is supposed to be the hypoallergenic, quote unquote, non-shedding dog.
Right.
A Labrador and a Golden Retriever they both do shed. So depending on what genetic markers they get, depending on how much they would shed. And I was talking about this a little bit too, because like I have my 2 little dogs are schnauzers. Those are hypoallergenic dogs that have hair. So they have hair versus fur. And that's like a poodle has hair versus fur. But we have hair and our hair still falls out, right?
Yes.
But like my big dog, who's the mutt of all mutts, I mean, she's just a mix of anything and everything. That dog sheds. And I mean sheds like where like I have to vacuum and sweep multiple times a day because there's so much shedding. Unlike my little dogs who, yes, I brush them, they get matted, they get, then the hair does come out, but it's not like shedding like crazy. Right. So my assumption would be, depending on what genetic markers these dogs, Labradoodles, Golden Doodles get, that some could shed a lot more than others could. Right.
Like I have a lab. He is 100% lab. Big old chocolate lab. When I vacuum, which I do quite frequently because he sheds all the time, there's enough hair. I have hardwoods and tile. I don't have carpet anywhere in the house except for the bath mats, our rugs, and then I have a rug in the living room. It's all the rugs that I have. I love it. But just going over, it's not even a big rug. It's like a 15 by 15. I have to empty the canister 3 times because it's so much. So it is what it is. Now I will say the dog hair case that I remember just very, very vividly is the Atlanta child murders. Because he had a shepherd. His parents had a German shepherd, and German shepherd hair and green carpet fibers were found on some of the victims. And so they did use it. How much it played, how heavily how much weight that evidence had, I don't know, because I don't really remember them talking about it. I know that they spoke to some of the jurors, but I don't remember. I don't remember the hair, so I don't think that they actually even said it.
Apparently, there's quite a few that have had. I just pulled them up, so it's.
What about DNA though, babe?
That's dog hair's DNA. Yeah. Okay, let me be more specific in my searching.
Yes.
This is dog DNA helps convict 2 in murder of a couple. Another dog who helped catch a killer. 10 pets that put the killer behind bars.
Yes. Oh, good.
There's one on Forensic Files, Hair of the Dog.
Ooh.
Season 8, episode 18.
Ooh.
There's your Atlanta child murders right there. Yep. That one came up in there. Dog hair on duct tape used to bind Florida murder victim caught her killer.
Okay.
Hercules, a reddish brown pit bull mix owned by one of the men. The hair was found on the victim's socks and sent the pair to prison for the 1998 murder. Yeah. Proved guilty by the DNA of the dog hair.
See, now I knew about the hair, but I wasn't sure about dog DNA if that had been used before. But because I was just curious, that's good. That means there's not going to be a whole bunch of fussing about trying to set a precedent, which is good.
The only thing you're gonna get is if it does come back to being Murphy's hair, it's gonna be, you're gonna have to prove that he got the dog's hair from being in the house that night and not being there some other time.
This is true. But I would like to see this is why it's interesting, but also frustrating when we get this kind of information, because we're getting information, right? But we're not getting all of the information. And so if we were to take, and the thing is, let's say this is all they have, just for argument's sake, right? This is all they have. This is everything they're going to put in front of a jury. So the jury, when they listen to it, do they weigh individual pieces of evidence and give different parts of evidence weight? Yes, but they also take it in totality. That's where the reasonable doubt comes in. It works the other way too. Can you use, with reason and based on the evidence presented, say that this defendant committed this crime on this day, yada, yada, yada. So it works the same way. So even if this is all they had, and don't discount circumstantial evidence. We had, before there was DNA, there was circumstantial evidence. And even with DNA, there's circumstantial evidence. Receipts are circumstantial evidence. Now, I want to know if they've requested the video from Walmart and Marshall's. And I'm curious, this was the other side project that I was going to do, but then I got distracted by doing some other
side project.
I wanted to look and see how many Marshalls and how many Walmarts were in a reasonable driving range, right? Because I feel like Kohberger is a murderer on a budget. Let's just call it what it is. I mean, he didn't have a job. I mean, he had TA and stuff, but it's not like he was, free to spend. He wasn't, living in the lap of luxury.
All right. So Mallory and I were actually looking up the location, and there's like a little shopping center that has a Walmart and a Marshall's. It's in Idaho, right across the border, on the way to and fro.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to look at is, because this was something that was discussed, I've seen it in other chats too, but mostly I saw it in Kate's last night. And it did make me think, because I said something earlier when I was on Smooth Criminal Podcast, which, by the way, you guys, if you have not checked out Smooth Criminal Podcast, she is a lot like me and Teresa, super cool, super chill, and and she's an attorney. So she's Australian, but she did study here in the United States as well. So she's excellent. She's just a cool chick. Go check her channel out. Yeah, Tori.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. It's Tori. So I was on her panel last night and we were talking. And but anyway, they were talking. She is extremely intelligent. I would love to be on this jury. Let me just say right now. I would volunteer. In fact, I would go take up residence right now in Idaho, even though it's Penguin Land right now. I would go establish residency if I thought I would get on that jury, but I won't.
So, they can come down to Southern California, get, an unbiased jury. I'll be right there.
Right, exactly. Do you need an outside person? Hello.
I'll be
Call
sequestered
us.
too. I'm totally
Me
okay
too.
with it.
I'll be fine. Listen, I won't call anybody.
Nope.
Just let
I'll
me
be
be
like,
able
see
to
you guys.
play.
I'll be back in 2 months.
Right.
Enjoy.
Exactly. I'll play my Matchington. I'll play my Heyday
Yep.
and my Candy Crush. I'll be fine. Totally fine.
You
All
like the
right.
Candy Crush, huh?
I do like the Candy Crush. My daughter got me on that. She's like, Mom, you got to download it. I need you to send me lives. And then you can't really just download it and send people lives. You kind of, then it makes you sort of play, and it was a whole big thing. So now I'm playing again. I used to play a long time ago, but I'm back on the Candy Crush.
I haven't played for a long time. Let me see. I don't even know what level I was on. Let me see.
I'm on a ridiculous level.
Yeah, I'm on a ridiculous level.
So we were talking about it yesterday, but in Cage Chat, they were talking about essentially the Michael Myers on Psalm, right? But I was curious, you know, how he wears the coveralls, right? I'm wondering if those are sold at that Walmart or at that Marshall's, because we know that there was a Dickies tag.
Yep, that was something that they brought up in my chat yesterday too, was Dickie coveralls, and I was like, interesting. I mean, I know that every Walmart around me sells them.
I cannot remember the coveralls here in Florida, but that doesn't mean they don't sell them. It's just I have never looked. But I know that I know the Walmart here sells other Dickies stuff. So I was just curious about it, because one of the things that I wanted to talk about was this PCA and Dylan. And kind of I had some more thoughts, as I do, after we got off our panel, after I got off your panel, Teresa, and I was really thinking about it. And one of the things that I think is overlooked here when it comes to talking about Dylan is a very important part of it. And it's just one little, like 4 words or something like that. Walked towards the back door. I want you guys to think about that. He walked. That tells a couple of things. One, it isn't, think of Michael Myers. He walked everywhere. That fool is 87 years old and has, it doesn't matter how fast you run, how far you run.
Nope, he
This
walks.
fool, he is straight walking, not even a fast walk. He's not even like mall walking level at all. He's just strolling, right? And cool, calm, and collected. So was Brian Kohberger, which tells you a lot about his psyche, his frame of mind. This is why I come back to, I believe the sheath was intentional, and I believe he knew, he planned to get caught. But let me throw a caveat in there. Do I think that he planned to get caught as soon as he did? No. I actually think that what he was attempting to do was go from what he is considered now, which would be a mass murderer, and graduate to the serial killer. But you have to have a cooling off time in between victims. Well, what's an excellent cooling? Nothing says cooling off like taking a winter break and going all the way across the country and doing nothing. That's a cooling off time. I think that that's what he intended to do. I think he intended to come back to Idaho, or Washington, I should say. And I think he intended more victims. And I think the reason he left the sheath there is I don't think that he thought that they were going to catch him as quickly. What I don't think he planned on, I think he panicked when he saw the map. When they were asking for video footage from the area, and the Moscow Police Department put out that map of the areas that they wanted. I think that was a scary moment for him. But then I was looking at the search warrant, right? And what they did recover. And if you're trying to get away with the perfect murder, which is what most people's theory of this case is that he tried to get, he thought he was smarter than everybody and he could have the perfect murder. Would there be a reason for you to have any type of stains that even resembled blood, whether it was yours or somebody else? Because as at this point, we only know that it's a brownish stain and maybe it's blood, but we don't know whose it is. Would you leave that around your apartment? Would you leave a glove in your apartment that could tie you back to anything? Of course not. Does that make sense? He planned to get caught. And I think that he's also planned for the trial, which is why he used the term exonerate. That is a trial term. That is not a I'm coming back and I'm going to clear my name. I'm innocent. That's not that. That's not a term you use. Exonerate is a trial term, and it's after a trial has happened and you're found actually innocent. Very different than not guilty. It's an
I agree
actual
with you on that part.
innocence.
I agree with you on most things in life, but I disagree on that he left the sheath on purpose. I don't think he did. And if he did, I don't that he did not mean to leave his DNA on it.
That I agree with. I do not think that he thought that the DNA. I don't think he thought it would. I think he thought it would be degraded
Or he wiped down the rest of the sheath
and missed a spot.
And what just didn't think about the button. Yeah, if he left it on purpose, he would have left it to try to push them in the direction that it was a military person or something along those lines. But I don't think he left it on purpose.
This is why I do, because something that I continue to hear, like, just all over is, he was in a rush. He was in a rush. He was in a rush. No, the fuck, he was not in a rush. People who are rushing don't walk out the back door. He walked. You guys, that's important. That is a critical detail. Okay, which is also the reason I think that although her antenna was raised, that something wasn't quite right, I don't think it was elevated to terror level red or DEFCON 1 because he walked. Had he been flying out, even a fast-paced walk, a hustle, a hurry, a slow jog,
right,
that might have raised more alarm bells, but he walked like he belonged there. Like, hey, yo, I'm just some rando that somebody brought home from the bar. I did what wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, I'm out. And all she was trying to do was be like, what the fuck? And who wants to have awkward after coitus conversation with some guy? I wouldn't. Even if it was the guy I brought home, I wouldn't. I'd be like, peace out. Let alone somebody else's, dude. I'm just being real. I am just keeping it real. You did what you came here to do. I hope it was fun. Peace out. I know I got a big bed, but it only sleeps one. Deuces.
Well, that's why I think that she was not worried about the fact that there was a person in the house. I think she was uncomfortable with the fact that there was just somebody in the house while she was trying to go to sleep, and so she locked the door.
Exactly.
I think that she self-explained these things to. I mean, like, she's like, oh, I thought I heard, Kaylee playing with the dog, and then I thought that they were like, oh, somebody's here, and then then Xana's in her room crying, and she like self-explained these things so that they made sense to her. And yeah, what if this guy had been with Bethany? If Bethany had met somebody or whatever, and this guy's he didn't have a ski mask on though, right?
No,
we don't know that.
No, but he had a mask.
But we don't know what type of mask.
We only know that the mask that he had on covered his nose and covered his mouth. That's it.
Okay. But I'm just thinking, like, what if he's like just the guy's, coming upstairs from Bethany's room and he's like leaving, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
I don't know. It just seems like it could, I think you'd self-explain it, and it would just be like, okay, these are all just kind of things that are happening, and I'm trying to get some damn sleep.
Right. And she's relaying the story after she's seen her 4 friends, 3 of them are her roommates. I mean, Ethan might as well have been a roommate because they were inseparable. And I think when she talks about frozen in shock, have y'all ever had that friend that is like a total Pollyanna, but you get a few shots in her and the stripper girl that you knew was hiding in there just comes out, but it's still a shock? You all have that friend. We all do. Don't play. You guys all know what I'm talking about. Maybe the shock she was like was, oh, hell, Bethany or Kaylee. brought a hit and quit at home. Maybe that was the shock. Not the actual, we're looking back on it because we know how the story ends. She didn't.
Right.
In the
This is
moment,
that
she
whole
didn't.
hindsight bias that I think
Right.
that people have really put onto Dylan.
Mm-hmm. And I would like to say one other thing about Dylan. I have, and you and I've talked about this too, Teresa. She stated she originally went to bed in her room on the second floor. To me, I don't interpret that in any other way other than that's where she started out and she ended up somewhere else. Why that was put there, I don't know. But I promise you at trial, it will be explained because I guarantee you that they recorded her statement. And so it'll all come out. But something changed. And I don't think it was her story. I do not, because otherwise the syntax is wrong.
You think it was her location?
Her location changed, not her story. Because if it had been her story, I've seen people write reports about people whose stories have changed. And it always says the initial story or the original story, or she originally said, not she said she originally went to bed. That doesn't intersect. That's wrong. That doesn't convey the same thing. Change it.
No,
You know what I'm
noticed
saying?
there's a lot of little nuances in the PCA and the search warrant that there's some verbiage that is really throwing people off, and I think that could be one of them, and it's just poor writing, or it could fit into the narrative that both roommates were asleep downstairs. That she did originally go to bed on the second floor, and then she left and went downstairs with Bethany. Like, hey, the girls are upstairs making too much noise. She's up there playing with the dog and whatever else. And now she's like, can I just stay down here with you?
Right.
Or she
because
goes and
think about it.
on the air mattress in the spare room or whatever,
Right. Because think about it. What's the next thing that follows after that in the PCA? Then they talk about the cell phone data from BF and DM's phones corroborates the timeline. Why would they be looking solely at those? Wouldn't it make more sense to be looking at all of them, which we know they did because they reference Xana's DoorDash and her Tickety Talks.
Right.
So what if she did shut her door and lock it? It got quiet, but she still had the heebie-jeebies. She texted her girl Bethany and said, hey girl, I'm creeped the fuck out. Can I sleep with you? And she came down, and maybe Bethany answered, maybe she didn't. And she ended up on the first floor. That is the most reasonable, likely explanation for that sentence. I don't think that she changed her story. I don't think that she, lied or anything like that. I think she got creeped out. Maybe. Oh shit! What happened?
Nothing.
My computer just went black real quick and scared the shit out of me.
I'm like, we're just here. We're just all.
You guys all went away for a second, and I got freaked out. See, I creeped myself out. Ooh, now I got the chills. That made me, because I shouldn't have said anything. You're right. The spirits.
So she did say she was froze she froze. That she saw this person and she froze. Like she stood there and then she locked her door and went to bed. Right? I mean, that's what it said. I don't know if I'm saying it verbatim.
You're not verbatim, but that's the gist. Yeah.
So, but my thought is if she thinks that it's coming from a Kaylee's, place or whatnot, I don't see that though, because from the way that I read it, she's seeing him come from Xana's room. So I don't think that she would, unless she thinks that he's went to the restaurant. I don't know what the hell she would think. I'm very curious to see what her whole story is because we obviously don't know it. But I don't think that, Kaylee was newly single. Would she bring a guy home from the bar?
Look,
you know what I'm saying?
Maybe she did. Maybe look, all I'll say is this. Have you ever heard that old adage, the best way to get over a guy is to get under a guy? No, just me.
Oh yeah, no, I've heard that one. I'm not going to tell you if I practiced it or not, but I'm just going to tell you.
Okay, so I mean, is it out of the realm of possibilities that she thought that's what Kaylee was doing? No, it's not. Kaylee and Bethany were out together and they shut the bar down, right? Did they not leave when it closed? Okay. Which I'm not judging. I have shut many a bar down.
I've shut many bars down myself.
And I'm proud of it. Not proud, but you know, it happened. Some of my moments I'm kind of proud of, but not all of them. Anyway, this is a story for another time. Not on YouTube. Anyway, it's possible. We can't think about how we would handle it because we're not them. We have to think about them, and their way of thinking is very different than Brian's. And this is why I don't believe that he is dumb at all, or that these were mistakes. A mistake from a criminology student. It wasn't just a criminology student, y'all. He was getting a PhD. Do you know how hard that is? Do you know how much schooling goes into that?
I think that he's only smart in that enclosed little box of his life. I think the guy's actually a douche nozzle.
I do think that I will agree with your assessment in that fact, but
I will not testify to that in court.
No, I mean, I'm not going to testify to that either. I agree with it, but I'm sure there's some legal term for douche nozzle, and I'll think of it. But I'll find it. I'll Google that shit. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Nonstop Mom. My 5-hour in KFC fund. Yum.
Oh no. Feel better, Nonstop Mom.
Feel better, babe. Oh no. Sick for the first time in 3 years. Well, I hope you feel better. Okay. You know what they say about the best laid plans, right?
Yep.
You can't plan for every little thing. You think you can, but you can't. But there are certain things that you can plan for, i.e., basic things. Why would you take your phone? Now, I've decided that I understand about the car because okay, this is my thinking. It's not a smart move, but I think that he had no other choice. What was he going to do? Take a Uber over there, take a cab? You can't really rent a car because that comes in your name too. I mean, there was really no way around. He had to travel, and I don't think the buses run from state to state like that. I mean, it feels like you know what I mean? I think that was just his only option, and he isn't made of money. Okay.
Well, so then he knows, being a criminology student, that surveillance is a huge thing. There are cameras everywhere, and cameras that you cannot see. So he takes his car knowing it's going to be caught on camera.
I think he knew that it was going to be caught on camera, like at stoplights, you know, like that. I don't think that he considered that those homes in that little neighborhood had the amount of surveillance they did. That's the part I think he underestimated. What about
traffic lights?
People are allowed to drive on the road. That's easy to explain away.
But then you bring your phone.
That's the part.
And you leave it on for most of it.
Which is, why would you do that?
This is why I think the guy's an idiot, and I don't think that he purposely left the sheath.
See, this is why I think that he did, because that is like criminology. That's the basics. For reals, it is. We all know this. How many times have me and you talked or been on a panel and a roast, and the people are busted with their cell phones? And I'm like, why do you people leave your phone at home? Leave it open to YouTube and have autoplay turned on. Even Chazzle Dazzle did it.
I know.
He had his he took his phone with him, and guess who busted him? Kat. Because she's like, you're not where your Snapchat location doesn't jive with where I think you ought to be. She didn't just call him out on that shit. She took a screenshot. And you know that he obviously is into true crime. You know, he at least heard of Chazzle Dazzle. Come on.
I don't see how.
Why would he
take his own car? He takes his phone.
Because
has the forethought to turn it off and leaves the sheath, all because you think that he is intending to be caught at some point, or because he actually doesn't realize?
I think I think he did this because he wanted the infamy, and you cannot have the infamy if nobody knows what you did. You have to get caught.
Okay, so then I
If
have to
he
ask.
had intended not to get caught, the car might that thank you, friend B.
Okay, so I want to back up just a second though, because if you think about how many people are unalived in our country every day, how many people go missing every single day, and how many of them get no attention whatsoever. So to do something and to earn the infamy is an issue for me, because I don't think there's a way for him to have known that this case would have been what it became.
Oh, I think that is exactly why he chose the house that he chose, because it's on Sorority Row. The last time, I mean, yes, you're right. People are unalived every single day in horrific ways, and some of them, but not four at a time. And not, and the last big sorority situation was who?
Ted Bundy.
Thank you. I rest my case. Pass the
But was that an
witness.
actual sorority house, or was that an off-campus one?
I think it was off campus sorority house. Or it might have been on campus. Was it on campus? Yes, it was an FSU sorority house. Yes, on campus.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think
But
that
technology was different in the 70s. And I think that if he were studying social media in any way, shape, or form, and was keeping track of the cases that catch the news, this was going to be one of them for sure.
I don't know. I struggle with that. I struggle with that because I just two blonde college students. That's all it says. Okay, I see. Yeah, maybe. So if he goes in there with the intent to kill two blonde college students, is it gonna pop off? Is it gonna be a big thing? I don't know. I just can't imagine that this guy thinks that he. Okay, so let me back up. So
Okay.
Obviously, I've taken a lot of criminal justice classes at this point in my life. They're not teaching us about don't take your cell phone or how easily you get caught with your cell phone. Yeah, I mean, there are things that are talked about, but that's not like the gist of what you're learning in criminal justice courses, right?
Right.
Nobody's talking about like, yeah, this idiot who took his car to the crime scene. They don't. It's typically not. So I feel like he's just he thinks that he's very smart, but he's smart in this criminal justice book smart. Like, I can read really well and I can put a paper together really well, but doesn't mean that I actually know anything about. Like, you have real world experience, Jen. Like, I have real world experience. Like, we've lived life. This kid has not. He's been sheltered and kind of pushed to the side by most people. You know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't have. He's not out there closing down bars. You know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't have any of that. I don't feel like this kid has any common sense, common thought, just any life, experience whatsoever. All he knows is what he has read in that book, and he knows how to write a paper about it.
Right, but we have real world experience, right? But we've never unalived anybody. Okay. And we're not a criminal enterprise. Okay. But we talk about it all the time. Look at all the things that we have learned about criminology. And I'm not even I've never taken a criminology class. Look at all the things that we can learn just from watching forensic files, watching interrogations, there's a much broader way of learning now other than just the classroom. You want to come up, Christine G? That's me. Okay.
Excuse me.
This link is just for Christine G. Please, nobody else, because I don't want to put up my peen thing, because I'm loving this thumbnail took me a minute, and I really like it as the background. I don't want to have to put up the peen screen. Okay. So what I think is I'm still working on, I have a broader project. I'm working on was there a connection in any way to serial killers.
Hi,
Because-
beautiful.
Hi,
Hi,
Paige.
guys.
How are you?
I got so excited when I just came onto YouTube. What are we doing?
Nothing.
We're talking about your favorite case.
Yeah. Okay, go. You talk amongst yourselves. Hey, give me 1 second, okay?
Okay. We're talking about the Idaho 4 and just with the PCA and the search warrant came out yesterday, and just kind of going through like thoughts and what we think of certain pieces of information. So Jen Liu thinks that he left the sheath behind on purpose, and I think that he did it because he's an idiot. That's kind of where we're at right at this moment.
Okay, this is my other thing. Let me give you this to think about. If you use the term, you can't, if you write, and it was he wrote his lawyer's statement, the whatchamacallit, his extradition attorney, right, in Pennsylvania. If you write a statement and have your attorney read it, and it reads like, Mr. Kohberger wants to get back to Idaho immediately because he wants the chance to exonerate himself or be exonerated, right?
Oh yeah, that's a weird line.
What sense does it then make to waive your right to a speedy probable cause hearing? This isn't the actual trial. It's not like he waived his right to a speedy trial. This is just the probable cause hearing. This is just where the state says, hey, judge, here's our evidence. What do you think? Do we have enough to charge this individual with this crime? That's all that this is. It's not even that big of a huge of a deal. Most people's probable cause hearings, they end up getting charged. They go smoothly, right? Why would you be like, fuck it, I'm just going to chill here in the clink for 6 months? I'm in a hurry to get all the way back to Idaho to clear my name. But you know what? I'm just going to chill here in the jail for 6 months.
Well, I mean, what if the evidence from the probable cause, he okay, so that makes me look real guilty, but you guys don't have all the DNA results yet. Something's going to exonerate me. I don't know.
Well, he didn't have the PCA until he came to Idaho. They didn't give it to him yet. He couldn't get it. Idaho's like one of the only states that has that weird law that he couldn't even see what was in the PCA until he showed up.
Right. And then he got the PCA. And what is going to be better 6 months down the road from now at a probable cause hearing?
Well, I mean, 6 months down the road, they won't have one, right? Isn't that just like going up to trial? They'll have a preliminary hearing.
No, this hearing, the probable cause hearing is to determine whether or not they actually have the probable cause to charge him with this crime and then move it to trial. Why wait 6 months for that?
Because I think that he wants the ability to be smarter than law enforcement and the prosecutor, because he thinks he's smarter than they are. And he needs time to come up with his plan on what he's going to do. And he needs the discovery in full. And if they do a prelim, they're going to drop the discovery, but they could drop the discovery right beforehand. And then the defense has no time to go through it with him. So if he wants to sit there and nitpick everything so that he can be smarter than they are, I don't know. I feel like he thinks he's intelligent. And so I think he can't get over his own intelligence.
He does seem like that. He does seem like.
I will agree that he thinks that he is smarter than everybody. That I get. But I think this is my opinion. And I could be 100% wrong. But I really feel like part of him putting everything off is to delay and further inflict psychological damage to the victims' families and to the surviving roommates. All the families have said more than anything else, especially Kaylee's family, because they've been the most vocal, is why. This puts that off even longer. So we get to the preliminary hearing, which is in June, right? Then we still have to get through all the pretrial hearings. Then we have what evidence is going to be able to come in, what evidence won't be able to be admitted, and then the trial itself. Now, he can actually, and I remember we talked about this, Teresa, because I watched that thing on Long Crime with the former attorney general for Idaho.
Mhm.
And he said that it doesn't, even if he, after the probable cause hearing, even if he does not waive his right to a speedy trial, Idaho will be prepared to take him to court 6 months following. So
Yeah.
June, July, August, September, October, November, December of 2023 would be the soonest that he would have a trial, but he's still putting it off. And the vegan meal in jail is a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Okay. And I don't even know.
Don't be messing with Letitia Stouck's peanut butter.
Hey, thank you, Emily. He did want to see the evidence, but he was getting that through the probable cause. That gives you an idea of what they had. Not everything, but it's not like, but I feel like the way that this discovery is going to work is it's going to trickle in. I don't think they're going to be given, and then maybe one like big thing right before. Do you know what I mean? Like a massive amount. But I think it's going to be trickling in.
I don't know. I'm like really nervous about their evidence. I am, honestly. And
You are.
I haven't been keeping like up completely since I started school, but I'm just real skeptical. Like when I saw that search warrant the other day, I told the girls, I was like, that looks like a search warrant that I used to serve on my boyfriend all the time. Like, look at these hairs, these 4 hairs. What's the stain? So I mean, it just wasn't more than I ever forensically found in my ex-boyfriend's room. So I don't know. It wasn't.
Well, I don't think it's
impressive to me
everything that they found. Teresa and I really feel strongly that it is only the things that Dan recovered. It's that list.
That Don Daniel.
Don, sorry, Don.
Daniel
Dan.
stuff.
Yeah. It's too many names for me.
It's not clear, but it does say all seized from residence and currently stored at WSUPD. And it's her report.
Mhm.
It's nobody else's report. It doesn't show anything else of like if anybody else found anything. I'm just wondering if it's not clear.
Well,
Is it just hers or is it an entirety? I don't know.
Why would they write more than one?
Because each person has to write their own.
But see, here's the thing. This is why I believe Teresa is accurate on this one. Because if you think about it, the probable cause to get the search warrant was written by Dawn. And I think that it's all her paperwork, her reports. And so there are more things were discovered, but they would be written by the individuals who discovered them, who collected
That's what I'm wondering. I can't say that for sure, but that's what I'm thinking is because it doesn't make sense that
it cannot just be hers.
Was that like the form that they like fill out of they have to like leave an inventory when they leave?
Right.
Is that what that was, or was that just a list in a report or something?
It's a list in her report. That it's
but didn't they send
the return of service? It's the return of service of search warrant for the residence and the storage closet.
So it's what she was able to, but here's the thing that I'm thinking about too. ISP was out there. She's Moscow PD, is she not?
No, she's Washington State
University.
Yeah. So she's the one that the detectives gave her basically the PCA, but
right,
with a little bit more added to it. And from the other detectives' side, hold on, I'm going back up so I can tell you exactly. I don't remember his name right off the bat. Where is it? That's the judges. The Sergeant Dustin Blaker. So he's from Moscow Police Department. So he's working with Dawn to get the search warrant. So Dawn has to file for the search warrant because she's the one that's in Washington.
Right.
So she writes her own thing and attaches his thing.
I see what you mean. Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
I don't know.
So then the end of the whole report is still hers because this is what she has. This is her filing. So the very first 2 pages of it are the judge saying, okay, here you go. Here's your search warrant approved. Judge signed. Then the next part is all her stuff with his PCA attached to it. And then she says, okay, this is now what we recovered or what was recovered. I can't tell if this is just what Washington State University PD now has stored, all seized from residents and currently stored at WSUPD. It's
Okay,
just a
wait.
list of items.
I just had a thought. Oh, keep going though. Sorry. I thought I was muted.
He's the Assistant Chief Don Daniels, who was serving the search warrant.
Okay. So this is what I'm thinking. I think it's just hers.
I think so too, but I'm not sure.
Because this is what makes most sense, right? The crime occurred in Idaho, but the residence is in Washington. So they have to coordinate, obviously, right? We don't know who else was there. So if the original document, which would be the search warrant and then the probable cause to obtain the search warrant, and then anything that had anything to, or all out of Washington, right? So anything that had to do with Washington was unsealed, but Idaho, we don't know. Basically, they aren't under the same. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Am I making any sense?
Yeah. The search warrant is from there though. So that's why I'm like, I don't know. I'm very confused on it.
Well, I can't imagine that it's well, we know for sure. I just don't think it's everything from that home. And we know that it's because we also know that they have the car, they have the parents' house, and they have his office. And that was in Idaho. No, that's in Washington too. Never mind. I keep getting confused. Yep. His home, everything is in either for him is Washington and Pennsylvania. So there's a whole lot we don't know yet. There's still a bunch in the air. We still have no idea what they collected. We have no idea what those stains even mean. We don't know whether they're.
He obviously has an issue with cutting his face.
Clearly. And I know that when he went back, because after these occurred on Sunday, he went back to work or to doing his TA, right? The next, Monday? See, this is the thing that I forgot about this too, but let me just finish that. And nobody noticed anything. Nobody said that he looked like he'd been in a scuffle.
Mm-hmm.
Which is curious to me because the coroner, which we probably should discuss her capacity, what her job actually is. But the way she described it and the way that Steve Concalves has described that there were defensive wounds, which is a broad term and it's really vague. We have no idea really what that actually means without seeing anything or being told. We have no clue what a defensive wound, it could be one wound or two wounds. You put both your hands up in front of your face. We have no idea what that means. So we have no idea if he brawled with any of them, including Ethan. We have no idea. He was in and out pretty quickly. I mean, for them, it was probably the slowest thing ever. And I feel awful and how scared they were in their last moments.
Oh God,
but
me too.
Time-wise, it doesn't sound like a long time. 15 minutes, 10 minutes doesn't sound like a long time. But when but time is real relative in those moments, and it usually slows down and seems like an eternity. So, I think, go ahead.
What do you guys like? What about how Dylan said about how she said that she heard somebody say, "Don't worry, I'm going to help you," or something like that?
It's okay, I'm going to help you.
Yeah.
Well,
who said that?
She said it was a male voice. There was only 2 males in the house. I doubt it was Ethan. If he studied BTK at all, which he had to have if he studied that, because he studied under that professor that wrote the book. BTK would frequently calm his victims down, and that's how, and get them to be compliant by assuring them that this was just like this weird fetish that he had, and once he tied them up, everything was going to be fine. Basically, that's all he wanted to do.
If she's screaming or crying or anything else, then he wants her to be quiet.
Wasn't she like near the doorway? Like, what if like, I don't know what I think about that. Like, if that is accurate what she heard, then like, what if she discovered, like, walked in on like something happening, or maybe Ethan already having been attacked, and like, you know, and then he turned around and said that to her. Like, maybe, I don't know what I think about that, because she was over by the doorway.
I don't think she was by the doorway when she heard that. It doesn't say any, it's not real clear where exactly she was standing.
Even according to that timeline, she got DoorDash, and then they said she was on her phone on her TikTok.
Well, let's actually think about that for a minute. Do you have TikTok, Christine?
Uh-huh.
Do you use TikTok?
Only when Teresa sends me videos.
Okay, but when you know how it functions, right? You know how it works, right?
I mean,
so you can. They don't. It's no different than any other app. All they can say is that the app was running at 4:12. They can't say what. They don't know that she was touching her phone or using her phone or scrolling through the phone. It could have been on a loop.
Mm-hmm.
She could have had her phone in her hand. I have opened up TikTok if I don't have my lock screen on, if I am doing something and I don't close my phone, right? And then stick it in my back pocket or move it or something. I've opened up a million apps on my. Alice called somebody on New Year's Eve. She opened up Messenger just by standing on it. No, for reals, it was a random person I haven't talked to in like forever. And the only reason I talked to him was because of the rodent case.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's a nice gal, but that's what we discussed. I haven't talked to her since that case ended. She runs one of the groups. Alice called her. Can you imagine my humiliation that she called her?
Well,
apps stay open. So we don't know that we only know the app was open. That's all we know.
Well, we know that she made a comment on the 13th. So we know she made a comment on TikTok post midnight.
That's a long time, but there's 4 hours between midnight. You know what I mean? So we still don't know exactly what logically.
What time was she eating?
Well,
it depends on what she got.
That it came around, and that the DoorDash was received around 4:00. It doesn't even give us the exact time frame,
which is ridiculous because it's there. The exact time is there. The exact time it was ordered. Yes, which again will all come out at trial.
And I mean, wasn't his car actions kind of reminiscent of a DoorDash driver, like looking for an address and then turning around awkwardly and then stopping, and then, I mean, kind of reminds me of my DoorDash drivers.
Well, I think that those minutes are important because he's on camera at 4:04.
Mm-hmm.
So we know he's physically in his car at 4:04. You have to give him at least a minute to park and get out of the car to get to the house. So if you're thinking, 4:05, 4:06.
Okay.
So her depending if she got it at 4:00, if she got her food at 3:56, like there's a whole difference of where she could have been in the process of eating and what she would have been doing with the food, or had she finished and already gone back to her room. You see what I'm saying? Like, I think that
or did she just eat in her room?
Did she eat in her room and the food was still in her room? Because everybody assumes Jack in the Box, but we don't actually know that.
No, we don't. And the thing is, people saying she was clean. Okay, let me say this. Anybody who is a neat freak, hello, I'm anybody. when you want to pick up something, when you want to clean, if I had, let's say I got DoorDash and I took the bag into my room, I ate my meal, I put all the trash into the DoorDash, and guess where the fuck I take that bag back to? Not that I wouldn't leave it on the kitchen counter. I put it in the trash can, which was overflowing. So we have no idea anything about, we don't know what she ate or even when it got there, because there,
Can I
and
say
all of those minutes count.
another thing about it? So the next day he goes to this like coffee place or
Mm-hmm.
near the coffee place or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then they said about how he went to Albertsons and was seen walking around and bought unknown items. Well, how would they? Why would they send unknown items? Because they, I mean, like when you order like from Safeway, from DoorDash, they don't like Brian wouldn't have a receipt for the grocery store the next day, like saying what he bought, because he goes in there, he gets what the DoorDash app tells him, and then it scans it out, and then the receipt goes to the person that bought it. So do we know he wasn't doing DoorDash? Seriously.
Well, the DoorDash works through the apps through your phone. If you're a DoorDasher, you get that it'll come through and you can accept it or not.
But
So
they haven't
yes,
told us anything about his phone.
they've told us a bunch about his phone. I mean, where it was.
Not from his, like they didn't
Right,
like
but
do
don't you think, you guys, this is my thing with the DoorDash. If you are writing a probable cause and you have your choice between wouldn't you include that in the probable cause? If he were the one doing DoorDash, that they all
I
keep
think so,
track of
yeah.
it. If
Well, they
I
also say they got a hold of the DoorDash driver. They talked to the
exactly,
DoorDash driver.
so we know he didn't do the DoorDash.
Okay, fine.
He didn't. I mean, listen, he didn't do the DoorDash at all. Meaning, if he's the one that, they keep track of that shit too. If I were to right now send Christine G, that's me, Jack, which really somebody should be sending me Jack in the Box. I haven't had Jack in the Box in a month of Sundays, and I could really go for an ultimate cheeseburger. Just saying.
You said a
I don't
month
even
of
think
Mondays.
there's a Jack in the Box in Florida. I don't know, but anyway. Let's say I decided to be a nice person and I wanted to order Christine G DoorDash. I could absolutely do that. But guess what? DoorDash would know it came from me and they would deliver it to her house. And all of the details would be included on my app. And then the DoorDasher themselves would have the delivery and where they delivered it to and a picture of the delivery on Christine G, that's me's doorstep. That's how DoorDash works. And if any of that occurred and Brian was a part of it, it would be part of that probable cause. Instead of some vague ass, well, his phone also pinged on the 14th of November, but we don't think his phone was actually there. Like I don't even know why they put that in there.
I don't know either. But it had to be for a reason.
Of what he was doing the next day?
I think what he was doing the next day is not that time, whatever time, I can't remember which time it was. He's verified to have been in Moscow on the 14th at the coffee shop and whatnot. Do you know what I think he was doing? I think it was down there at Snake River or Snake Lake or whatever the hell that place is called, Snake something. And I think he was disposing of shit. Like the weapon. Because he knew enough. They still haven't found that.
So see, like Emily said, they know what he got. Cameras show the register and duplicate receipts. Like, so why would they say unknown items? Like, I just think I don't know. You know what? This all irritates me.
Well, okay. I understand. This is why they said what they said. You have to remember what they're trying to accomplish with the probable cause affidavit. All they want is enough compelling evidence that a judge will sign off on an arrest warrant. That's it. You don't want to give too much away, because guess what? Guess who gets the probable cause affidavit? The defense. So if they sort of know what your case is, it gives them an advantage on where to start going, what to start looking, and how to start making a plan and picking things apart, right? You don't want to do that, but you don't want it to be not enough details where it would get rejected by the judge and you have to apply again, because guess what? That's in the record too. That's all part of it. If you're denied a probable cause the first time, it's part of the record. So you don't want that either. So they gave just enough to get the probable cause, to get the arrest warrant. That's all they wanted, without tipping their hand as to what. I guarantee you they know what he had. I guarantee you they know the items.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think by this point they do. Yeah, maybe
I
not
think
by the time that they were doing that.
Maybe they
Possibly
were
not.
waiting on surveillance, because maybe they knew he was there, and they can see him on video buying something. But you know how grocery store checkouts are, and the cameras are not that great, frankly. So it's difficult sometimes to tell, but they can.
Ironically, the ones inside the store are typically better than the ones in the parking lots. And they have him in the parking lot getting in and out of his car. So I thought that was interesting, the way that they worded that.
Right.
Probably whatever he was buying isn't relevant to the PCA. He just bought some items.
Exactly. Who knows? But at the end of the day, the fact that they found anything in his apartment, think about when that search warrant was served, you guys.
The search warrant was also the 30th, the first, was it the 1st and 31st?
Yes. By the time, okay. So let's think about this way. The crime was committed November 13th. Brian was on his way to Pennsylvania, on the 13th, 14th, 15th, somewhere in that vicinity of December. That's roughly, he had a 30-day head start. If he did not intend to get caught, there wouldn't have found anything in his apartment. That's the truth.
Yeah, I don't think the apartment's gonna have the
vehicle.
Anyway. Well, I think the vehicle's gonna have better.
It would be nearly impossible for him to commit a crime like this. Because he has to. I don't think that I think he was wearing coveralls, and I think that there is an intense amount of planning going on, because he was monochromatic, for fuck's sake, you guys. He coordinated the gloves to his outfit.
Black.
He wore black on everything.
Do you think
it's hard to see blood on black?
The glove that Chris McDonough found was the other glove, or
no? I think
it's a winter glove.
Oh,
yeah, this is a disposable glove.
Oh,
but he coordinated, because the darker the color.
Why do you think they found one flipping glove? One glove.
I mean, I don't think that takes
Where
much
the hell's the other
power.
glove?
Like, let me go do a crime and then wear black.
But I'm just trying to figure out, why did they only find one glove in his apartment?
Why would they find any glove at all? Period.
But in general,
what I'm saying,
it had anything to do with the crime or not, you don't have one glove.
So you think he's getting framed or what?
I've always had an issue with this, because, and not to throw the whole topic off, but we all know the OJ case, and we all know about the glove, and we all know the detective that was involved with that.
Yes.
And then that detective now lives there and starts interviewing people and talking to people about this case, and he's getting interviewed on TV. And now all of a sudden, Chris McDonough finds a freaking glove. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. There's
like an Easter egg.
And there's always, right? That's how I feel. I'm like, no way. And there's always just one. There's only
7 degrees of McDonough.
You got one freaking black glove in the apartment. You got one winter glove outside. You got one glove hidden at OJ's house.
Where are all these one-handed people?
Right? And why does this one detective always end up around all these damn one-handed people?
And gloves.
And one gloves.
Let's ask Casey.
Yeah, did she have one glove?
It's Florida. We don't need gloves.
The only thing that can make this weirder is if Casey showed up to photograph everybody.
Oh, she probably did. She was probably over there taking pictures of Chris McDonough and Mark Furman with their one gloves.
She probably was. Telling them to work their angles.
Oh my God, so awkward, so cringe.
Hold your neck up a little. We don't want to get that, that pelican neck that you get when you get older. Oh, God. The truth is, this is just my and it might change as more comes out, but my theory about his whole psyche is, quite frankly, that do I think he planned to get caught this soon? No, I don't. But I do think that he wanted to become a serial killer. And the only way to do that is to have a cooling off period. And I think that he is enjoying the notoriety. I think he's enjoying the watching the detectives, law enforcement. I do think that he watched the case. I do. Do I think that he necessarily interjected and posted and shit like that? No. But I do think he watched. I do think he took an immense amount of pleasure in watching the Jacks get crucified. Absolutely, I do. And I think the thing that he's going to take the most pleasure in is listening to the state's theory of motive, that knowing that he's the one who really knows his own. He's the only one who knows his motive. Because that's the kind of people who think that they are smarter than everybody are not. They don't think that they're infallible. What they do think is that nobody's ever going to know the real truth, the whole truth. That's what he's enjoying. Smart people know what they don't know. Even pompous smart people. I may not admit it out loud, but you can't escape your own brain. And I think
maybe
he's
you don't
going
admit it
to.
out loud. One of my cousins is like that. She's uber book smart and can remember really dumb facts about lots of stupid stuff when it comes to books, but just zero common sense, zero real life experience, and it shows.
Right.
And she would never admit that, but that's exactly who she is. And she thinks she's smarter than everybody.
But isn't it interesting that in all of the people that have come out of the woodwork about him haven't actually said that? They haven't actually said he was an academic, but he had, but he's the type of person that would lock his keys in the car. You know what I mean? Nobody has said that. And you know what I find even more interesting? Aside from everybody else that has talked about him, the person that I find the most compelling is his professor from DeSales, the one that recommended him for the doctorate program. And I cannot get over what she was quoted as saying when he was arrested. I was shocked as shit.
Yep.
Which frankly sounds like some shit I would say.
Yep.
If somebody told me right now and they're like, hey, do you know Teresa from Criminality? I'd be like, maybe. Who wants to know? And if they said, well, she just, did A, B, and C, how do you feel? I'd probably say, I'm shocked as shit. Yes. I find that more of all the people that have come out of the woodwork to talk about, I find her far more compelling than the 6th grade crush who said that he said weird things like you're very pretty, which, by the way, lady, that's not a weird thing. Maybe you were not quoted accurately, because saying somebody is very pretty, unless it was a tone that he used, is a lot different. Just the words. He said things like you're very pretty. I
thought the most informative person was the girl, the first girl that said that her brother used to be his friend or something. There's a picture of them together at a wedding.
Oh yeah, the TikTok girl.
Yeah. I thought, because she gave really like she explained a very wide, a deep, I don't know how to explain it.
And speaking of that wedding, what was he doing at that wedding? Sitting alone by himself.
She explained him as being nice and a friendly person, but also having struggles with drugs and getting clean, and it painted the picture of a whole person,
Right, but but not he was a ditz. I mean, think about what you guys would honestly say about me. Huh?
It wasn't like she was trying to flavor it to make him sound more murdery,
right.
She just told,
Those are the interviews that I like, because even when they interview people about Lake Bundy, the most compelling people, the people's stories that I believe the most are the people who give a well-rounded picture, because nobody is everything all the time. I am not funny all the time. Believe me, I'm not. I'm not even nice all the time. I know you're all shocked. Brace yourselves.
More about the funny part.
Nobody is something 100% of the time. You know what I mean? We all have different facets. And so I feel like, to me, I kind of wanted to talk about this incel theory too. What do you guys think about that?
Oh yeah, me and Teresa have stuff to say about that.
Well, say it. That's what I have you for.
Well, everything I have to say about it, I learned from Teresa. So go ahead, Teresa.
That's not true.
I don't believe that either.
I think that I think he could be an incel. I don't believe that I don't believe that's his motivation though. I think that he has I think this is all just based off of just my own thoughts. So could I be wrong 1,000 bazillion%? Of course I could. But my thoughts are that he wanted to do this because he wanted to feel something.
Interesting.
You know what I'm like? He went through his life trying to figure out, what he could do and what he could do to like get an emotional reaction. And he was just mean to people, and he just still didn't care. He was, he calls himself an asshole. He's like, I don't care. He didn't care about any. I just feel like he wanted to actually feel something. And so he did this in order to see if that would work, because the only thing that ever interested him or intrigued him was this stuff about criminal justice and criminology and the mind behind a killer and how look at his research project, like how did you feel beforehand, how did you feel after, things like that. It's like, did he want that emotional attachment? And in that emotional attachment to the situation, was it sexually motivated in the fact that people ask, like, why would you go in with a knife? And it's typically people who stab somebody, it's a crime of passion, and people would get upset with that terminology, but the passion is for the killer, not for the person unalived.
Correct.
So sometimes when people will stab somebody, and I hate to say this like this, but when they stab somebody, the in and out of the knife
I said this too.
That's the erotica. Like, that's what gives them the sexual arousal. They don't need to actually do anything to that person. They get it because of that.
Correct.
And people have asked, like, what do I think that he was doing before he went home? And that's what I think he was doing. Mm-hmm. I think that he was aroused.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think that there is, or could be potentially, a sexual element to this crime that doesn't include an actual assault. The knife and the thrusting could be a surrogate for the act itself. And again, people compare him to Bundy, and I think the only reason they're comparing him to Bundy is because of the sorority house. Yep. But what people don't realize about the sorority situation is it was there was one more unaliving after that one. That was Kimberly Leach. But what he did at that sorority house was a frenzied attack, which was it was way off of his MO. Bundy was a lurer. He liked to feign either being like a broken arm, needing help or needing directions. He did one time pretend to be a cop, and that's the woman that escaped. But that was his MO.
Didn't he also like to give help? Wasn't he a helper?
I'm
not big on the serial killers, so you're gonna.
I wouldn't say. I don't think that he was a helper. Like, I don't think he. Like,
I thought he helped people to the car with their groceries or something like that. Is that the right one, or no? Is that a different one?
That's a different one. Bundy was a lurer. He needed the help. He disarmed women, because at that point in time there was a whole like movement going on with feminism, and women didn't want to be referred to as co-eds. They thought it was demeaning, and the society was kind of changing and stuff, and women were on their own. I mean, the woman that he dated with the daughter was a single mom, which was actually sort of novel for that time period. It was not in the norm. And what he was able to do is break down women's natural defenses to be leery of a stranger because he was seemed incapacitated. What can a guy with a broken arm do? You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
why he would do things like that. And that's the part that he enjoyed. All of that was part of it for him. For him to be able to wear this mask, the lawyer, the civic duty person that he was, all that crap that he did, that was the mask. Bundy, him, the killer, that was the real Ted Bundy. And what he enjoyed is that moment when the girls realized who they were really with. That's what he liked. And even the reporter that interviewed him on death row said when he would get, there were certain parts of the interview with him where, and Ted Bundy had very bright blue, that's the color, eyes, but they would be black. And I absolutely believe it because there's an element of the shark eye to all these people. Kohberger has it too.
You know that when I get mad, my eyes turn black?
Well, is it mad or is it the dabook? You got the dabook?
All I know is that when I've gotten mad and like really mad at people, like they'll tell me like my eyes are black.
Yeah. Watch out for Teresa, you guys.
I told you.
You told me. You told her.
No, I told you like as in everybody.
I mean, I think, and then you have the original Incel. Like everybody is comparing him to Elliot Rodger because of the
Is that
Papa
the guy's name?
Rodger. Yes.
From Teresa?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, Elliot Rodger. The actual. Go ahead, Teresa.
I want to ask though, because the whole thing comes out about him using Tinder, and somebody in chat also mentioned the Tinder stuff. Here's something that is interesting to me. Has anybody looked up his Tinder account? Everybody's looked up his Instagram and everything.
That picture of him where he's kind of drunk with the black shirt at the party. I've seen that picture. I know, like 500 times.
That's right.
It's all over Tinder.
You know what else Bundy did? Now that I think about it, not only did he work at an self-harm hotline crisis center, he worked on a like a panel to help with SA victims. Yeah.
He was a helper.
He must have had giant balls.
It was more like the law enforcement capacity. He didn't actually, I mean, but yeah, I guess he was, but he didn't like take old ladies' groceries to their car or anything like that I remember. But that doesn't, I will say this. They keep comparing him to Elliot Rodger. Well, okay.
No.
Elliot Rodger, because he's like the idol of all of the incel, the true real incels, right? Like not just guys that can't get laid. It's a whole like thought process or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know an incredible amount about because it doesn't I don't understand it, and I haven't really looked into it enough, so I'm not going to speak on it. But things that are different about him is that there was no, as of at this moment, we don't know. There doesn't appear to be a manifesto, which would be a requirement if it were truly that. If it were an homage to Elliot Rodger. My opinion is, and has stayed this way, is that he actually, in my opinion, is probably more like the original incel before there were incels, Kemper. And if you think about it, you know who else was a little like involuntarily celibate? Dahmer was. And they all wanted this companionship, but had no idea of how to actually get it. They could not and they were envious. Kemper talked about it frequently, being envious of other couples. He would see couples and be envious. The reason he chose co-eds was a dig at his mother, because she would tell him frequently when she would be drinking that he was never going to get those kinds of girls. And it was something that them going to college and being strong, independent women and getting an education because that's what they were doing. It used to be back in the 50s, women went to college not for an education, but to get a husband. And that's the truth. And they got an education, but it was primarily to get a husband. But in the 70s, it was actually about getting an education. And
I
his
have a
mom
thing-
valued that.
Sorry.
And he hated his mother. I mean, I could tell you some things about Ed Kemper that you probably know but have forgotten that would just shock the shit out of you. And I think that I don't think that he's like Kemper in the fact that he had some kind of mommy issue, but I do think that I can't imagine being having to date in this day and age. I just can't. I can't.
I wouldn't want to. I'd just be single. So
I mean,
I have a thing to say about it. I think the word incel is like just way too broad of a term that like encapsulates too much of a population. You know, like the word autism, like it's just too broad for like what.
There's an incel spectrum now.
Yeah. Yes. So, but as far as like not having a manifesto, I mean, he didn't write the paper that belongs to that Reddit post and the survey and stuff yet, because I just looked at those screenshots. That the screenshots came out. They say that was written 7 months ago, which would have been probably around May, which would have been around when he had already or was about to graduate from TESAL's. So what if he was writing a manifesto? I mean, I'm not saying like, yeah, okay, he's an incel. I'm just saying like we don't know that wasn't.
That's what I was asking about the Tinder account, because he obviously got matches on Tinder. We have his supposed Tinder date who had to throw up to get away from him. So did he actually hook up on Tinder? And if he did, then he's not an incel.
well,
True.
well, no, I think there's degrees, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't
see?
really see. The thing is, the spectrum. I think that I don't like the term incel, but
neither,
it's
I don't.
been used, so I'm referencing it. There's a difference between a guy who has difficulty obtaining women, or or getting a girlfriend or having a relationship, and an incel.
A douche nozzle.
There are some guys.
I mean, there's like the
I
red
don't-
pill, blue pill thing, and like
Well,
there's some guys that feel really slighted by women, whether they get women or not. You know, they just
right.
And that I think that the word incel is just too broad of a term. Like I think the
I
guys
don't think.
like
Well, no, I
you
think
think-
people are using it broadly. I don't think it's an actual broad term. It means something very specific, but I think people are using it to mean something very broad. Any guy that can't get laid and wants to is. I mean, listen, if you're trying. I mean, you're involuntarily not having sex. Ideally, you'd want to have sex, but I think that there's a difference between that and an actual incel.
I agree.
Because
There's
I
a
think-
mentality that goes along with it.
Correct. And that's the thing that Elliot Roger had. When you listen to what he said in his videos and the way he spoke, he wasn't yearning for a relationship. Although those were the words he was using, his sentiment was actually, I'm owed. I'm entitled to I am a great person. Why aren't these women falling all over me? He felt entitled. That's very different. That's a very different mindset than I'm just awkward and I haven't got all my things together. And I was listening to Ikadmel last night, and he had a caller in, and he said something very profound. He said, if you're an ugly chick, you can still get laid. If you're an ugly dude, you ain't got no chance. Which I thought was interesting.
I disagree with
you
that.
could be rich.
I do too, but this is a
dude.
guy saying it. It's harder. He says that it's harder for an unattractive man to get laid.
I disagree. I think that it's harder for an unattractive man to get laid by a hot chick. But there's tons of unattractive men all over the place.
I think
Right,
age
but-
has to do with that too. A young, unattractive man has and with no money
Their
has way
standards
has
are
no
too
chance.
high. They can get laid. They just think that they should be getting laid by these hot ass chicks that are not their level.
Right. You can't be a 3 and be trying to get a 10. I mean, let's be realistic
Unless
here.
you're
You need to
one of these
date.
guys in this case, because I swear some of these guys are like 4s and they got
I
10s.
don't agree with what he said. I just think it was interesting coming from a guy to say that. And younger. He's younger than us. He sounded young. I don't even know how old he was. But I'll say this. I think that I think we're going to find out quite a bit more, obviously, about, because he's going to have to be interviewed by a forensic psychologist. That's going to happen. It is. Not, I mean, he'll get his competency, right? Obviously, which you do get interviewed, not by a forensic psychologist, but by a psychologist, right? To make sure you're competent for trial. Lori Vallow, you're competent. Stop playing with these people. Don't be pulling no more shenanigans between now and April. Bitch. Anyway.
I wonder what his like health evaluations are like coming back. Like, is he
oh my God, that's something I was thinking about. That's
I was like,
thing.
what if he's like about to like die and he's just like wanted to like
he went for a physical. That's another thing. Right after the murders, he had an appointment for a physical that he attended.
Which I thought was interesting.
Yes.
Where did that come from? Where's the source of that info?
Oh, Jesus.
What if he has
heard it.
terminal?
Me too.
Like, what if he's dying like on his last,
I think it came from the from the nurse at the doctor gave an interview.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Not the nurse. The receptionist at a doctor's office gave an interview.
I'm gonna look it up because I've heard that and I'm like, where did that come from?
Which doesn't, that does not violate HIPAA. Saying that somebody has a doctor's appointment does not violate HIPAA.
LFT.
Saying what they fucking what they had done and the results is a violation of HIPAA. Just saying that they're at the doctor's office is not a violation of HIPAA.
Highlight LFT's comment.
No, don't
you
tell
win,
me what
LFT.
to do.
She's winning. she wins comments tonight. Here's your prize.
Oh, the behind. Good for every pot.
That's right, LFT. That's right.
There is, but I find it interesting. See, I can talk to you guys about dating, obviously, from a chick's perspective, but it's interesting for me to hear a man's perspective on dating today. That's what it was. That's why I thought what he said was profound, because that's from a man's perspective.
Men said that back
when
when I was
interested in it.
Ask one of your married sons about it.
What?
I mean, isn't your son married? One of your
My oldest son is,
your oldest
well,
son.
he's not married, but yeah, he's been in a long-term relationship.
Well, he would know about it. He would know.
Would know about what?
I mean, is it hard for, like, just ask him the questions?
For a guy to get laid.
It's hard. Well, I mean, I know he struggled. I will say this. There were a few girls along the way that broke his heart before he got to this one. So I do know.
Where are they buried, Jen?
Huh?
Where are they buried?
What's birthing HIPAA?
Break my son's heart. I'm going to have a real problem.
I don't know what birthing HIPAA means.
Birthing HIPAA?
Yeah, that's what Heather whatever wrote. Birthing HIPAA. She must mean HIPAA because HIPAA is HIPAA. Health Information Portability Accountability Act.
It's a little mix of a HIPAA birthing.
HIPAA hoopa. Listen, I just think this. We're going to find out at some point.
Oh,
and
I think so too.
I think what's going to be funny, what's going to be interesting is how close we are or how wrong we are. Because you guys know if I'm wrong, I'll be the first one to be like, I'm wrong. Oh, and I was wrong about something. I reread the probable cause affidavit. And
I did too.
And they did find they find Xana and Ethan, then Maddie and Kaylee. But then I started thinking another reason that maybe they listed Maddie first. Sometimes they will list the strongest case first, and because the sheath was in her room and next to her, perhaps that's why. It could, I mean, it could just be the way they listed it, and it has no special meaning at all.
Backstory: we were trying, when we were live together, we were trying to figure out if there.
Oh yeah. If
they
the way
put
the
together-
judge.
Yeah, the way the judge reads the charges, he says
Mhm.
Maddie's, Kaylee's, Xana's, Ethan's. Right? I think that's how he does it.
Oh, the
and,
birthing hips. That's what she was talking about. I get it now.
and then we were trying to decide if that's the order that they are reading them in that way because that's the order they were actually unalived.
And I did
And then,
yeah.
but
And then I was thinking that they can't, for whatever reason, I always remember Maddie and Kaylee being discovered first, but I think I just remember it because Dylan's statement follows right after that. And so that's what was, but anyways, I thought they were listed the way they were discovered in the PCA. That's what I thought, to keep continuity. But it could mean that that's the way they were, that is the order. It could also mean that is their strongest case because it was the piece of the sheath with the DNA on it that links Brian to the crime in the first place, to the house, was found in her room, and therefore hers would be the strongest case. Something else I was talking about with Tori yesterday was the other two deaths. The other two, do you know which ones I'm talking about?
talking about the boys, or are you talking about the quote unquote ex roommate of Maddie's that nobody's ever been able to prove? That one?
No, the boys.
The boys, okay.
The unsolved one. And I was thinking about it, and obviously they took Brian's DNA, right?
Yeah.
And they would put it in CODIS because obviously, right?
He's now charged with a felony. He'll be in CODIS.
Right. But would they, let's say they ran it and they got a hit on another crime, because a lot of people do not think this was his first crime. Right.
Right.
So we were
I
talking
think it was
about
his first murder.
There are people that think it was not his first murder, that he was too organized. So, but we were talking about that reason, reasoning it out, right? I don't know. This is just, I'd listen to everybody because I'm always interested in other people's viewpoints. So I'm, listening to, and I'm thinking about it, and I'm thinking, well, would they come out with it? Would they charge him? And then I started thinking about it. Why would they? Wouldn't it be better to let this case go to trial, see what happens, right? What if he's acquitted? If they were to charge him and try him for both at the same time, or what, maybe they're just waiting. Do you know what I mean? Just to see what happens with this case.
If he gets acquitted, does his DNA stay in CODIS?
Yes.
Or does it have to take it out?
Oh. Because it's when you're arrested for a felony. It goes to they collect your DNA, whether you get convicted or not. It'll always be there. So I thought about that. Maybe they're waiting because it's like when Bundy did the sorority murders, right? That was one trial, and then he was tried separately for Kimberly Leach, which a lot of people were like, what's the point of a trial for her? He already has the death penalty. And the prosecutor in that case said, because she deserves it. She needs justice. I mean, no, we obviously cannot electrocute Bundy and then resuscitate him and then electrocute him again for her, but he needs to be found guilty of this.
I was just listening to a story about that football player, that Green Bay Packer guy and they called him the I-5 killer, and that he got convicted of whatever murders he got convicted of and sentenced to. Did he get death or life? I forget where he was at.
He was in Wisconsin, okay. Well, I was going to say, if he's in Wisconsin, no. Okay.
It was Oregon, I think so. I think he got life, maybe. I don't know. But they decided not to try him on the other crimes that I don't remember if it was just some rape, like a rape or multiple rapes, or if it was other murders, but they didn't try him because they said it was going to take a lot of taxpayers' dollars, and that they'd have to put the people through like the hard trial and stuff. So I don't know. I felt like that just related, but I kind of lost my train of thought just now. Sorry.
I see what you're saying. No,
I
you
get
get
where you're
charged with one, you get convicted of one, and then the parents are upset because their child was not actually the one that got the justice, even though the justice is still the same. Like Jen said, like he's going to get life, but they want him to get life for their kid too.
Right.
And sometimes they'll do it because they want to make sure that if there's any reason for this one case to be overturned, then he's still got life for the other one. Other times they're like, we don't have the evidence in this one, even though we know he did it, but we know we can't get that evidence into court. So it's like, you're going to have justice. It's just not going to be in your daughter's name or whatever.
Right. Which is, even with the Atlanta child murders, he wasn't actually charged. I mean, he wasn't tried for all of them. He was tried for the cases that they felt that were the strongest.
Right.
Well, look what they did with Golden State Killer.
Well, he just pled guilty on everything they actually could have him on.
Yeah.
He was just like, I did it.
Yeah.
They still think that he has a lot more.
Oh, I'm sure he does. There is a school of thought that they think that Brian has done something like this before. That this was a very, very bold first time crime.
I'm not sold either way. If he has, I wouldn't be surprised. And if he hasn't, but like Christine said, this is his first actual unaliving of people versus, I think he's always been a weirdo. I think he's probably always been a peeper, weird stuff like that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if those types of crimes came out either. And this was his actual, his first step, simply because I do think the guy has not, even though he took on this big task of 4 people, I don't even know if he went in there to do 4 people. Let me just say that. I think that he went in there to do at least 1, possibly 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that he made a lot of mistakes.
But he was following all 3 of the girls. So the only one that I would think would be a surprise.
I don't know that he was following all 3 of the girls. The only account that was even potentially close to being real was the one that was following 2 of the girls. And so I don't know where this article is saying, this is saying following 3. Unless there's some other account. I don't know. There's so many fakes now, it's hard to even go back and look.
DC, Molson it's Thursday night. He's probably watching football, babe.
Oh,
no football tonight.
There's no football toniite?
No.
Are we into playoffs? Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're coming down to the end.
Molson is then. Who's in it? He's been here. He's been hanging out over here, but who's in the playoffs?
So right now we've got the Cowboys, the Giants, the Jaguars,
It's not the Seahawks, guys.
The 49ers, not the Seahawks. The 49ers, the Chiefs, the Jets.
And not the Bucks.
Jets. Did I say the Jets? Is the Jets or the Eagles? I think it's the Jets. It's the Jets or the Eagles. Don't quote me on that one right now because now I'm mixing up which one it is. It's either
Did the Cowboys beat the Bucks? Buccaneers?
Yes.
Good. I know I'm in Florida, but I'm always a Cowboy fan.
I'm almost. I think
Fuck
the Cowboys.
you, Tom Brady.
Just double check.
You heard me.
Do you know who gets kudos for me in this case?
Who?
Is the short-haired neighbor that was packing up her car to go home, the one that's in the picture with the house.
That's her.
The
one that's in the apartment that's right there. Yeah.
Yeah, she gets my compliments because they even interviewed her, and she handed over actual evidence, and she just kept her mouth shut.
What'd she hand over?
Went on her way. I mean, that was the house that had the cameras.
Video stuff.
That was the cameras.
Mm-hmm.
She did, but she just said about her mom wanting her to go home, and she went on home.
So here you got the Jaguars and the Chiefs, the Giants and the Eagles. So it wasn't the Jets, it is the Eagles. I was thinking green. That's all I was thinking. So Giants and Eagles, Bengals and Bills, Cowboys and 49ers.
Let's go, boys.
So
it will never be the Patriots. If it comes to anybody, I would pick anybody over the Patriots.
Patriots still bother me now that Tom Brady's not there.
Well, now he's decided to come to Florida, and I don't want him here either.
I don't like him.
I don't like him either. He's a cheater. Deflategate.
I knew I loved you.
I can't stand him. Just retire already.
He already tried that and he failed. Failed at that too.
I know.
Stop
it's so
lying.
sad when that
Yeah, don't
happens.
retire and then, get your fucking cake and your gold watch and your office party shit and then come back like a week later and be like, psych, get fucked, Tom Brady.
Yeah.
I can't stand your ass. Just go and stay gone.
He's gonna
That's
come back.
not
Next,
it.
he's gonna
That's
be
not
on
it. You're a Bears
on the
fan?
Astros.
I'm a Bears fan. The
Huh?
Bears.
What if he came back and he's like on the Astros or the Giants? He's gonna try his hand at baseball now.
I'm a Bears fan and a Giants fan. I know
I
people
like
are like, you can't have two, but I have two. So it is what it is.
I like the boys, and that's it. I like my Cowboys.
I do not like the Cowboys.
I do. I'll have to. Do you want them to take my Texan card? I don't. So I love the Cowboys. I used to love the Texas Rangers, but then I became a Braves fan for baseball. I do like the Dallas Stars, and
I
that's
actually like
about
the
it.
Yankees for baseball, ironically. I don't even care that much about baseball, though, so it is what it is. But I'm a Bulls fan. Bulls and Bears.
I don't ever watch basketball a whole lot,
I
but
love
but if I did watch basketball, I
basketball.
would root for the Mavericks, obviously.
The Bears.
Bears.
I just a little side story because we're talking about football. When I was little, I did a reenactment of the Super Bowl Shuffle.
With
My cousin and I we did a whole dance, a whole routine to it. I have it on VHS still.
I have my diary from when I was little, and I talked about that Super Bowl. I watched.
No,
it.
you didn't.
I did. I watched it at my parents. We went over to some like one of my dad's friends when he was a paramedic. And I wrote about it in my diary, and I was like, it was the Bears. And I remember writing about it, and I remember the Super Bowl Shuffle. And yeah.
We are the Bears, shuffling crew, shuffling on down, doing it for you. You're so bad. No, I still remember it. I love that. I love the Bears.
The other day I was washing dishes, and I was singing the Humpty Dance. I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, were you?
Yes.
Did you do the dance? Were you like, Humpty dance? Did you do it?
First I what is it? First I limped to the side like my leg was broken, shaking and twitching, kind of like I was smoking, crazy, what funky. People say you look like MC Hammer on crack, Humpty. That's all right, because my body's in motion. It's supposed to look like a fit or a convulsion. Anyone can do this dance.
The Humpty dance.
Just show chance, do the hump.
Oh my God. And says demand receipts or it never happened. We want to see the tape or do the dance. I can sing you the song. That's what I can do. And then, so when I think I was about 5 or 6, my mom was a Broncos fan. And she was only a Broncos fan because she really had a crush on the coach.
Oh, okay.
Dan Reeves, I think his name was. So I was like 5 or 6, and the Broncos were playing the Giants in the Super Bowl. And I didn't like the Broncos because my mom had a crush on the coach. So I was like, I bet you $5 that the Giants are going to beat the Broncos in the Super Bowl. And so it was my very first bet that I'd ever placed in my life, and I won $5, and then I became a Giants fan.
Aw, look at suspicious. I feel attacked right now. If you remember the Super Bowl Shuffle, you have an at-home bottle of ibuprofen and a per-store bottle of ibuprofen.
Oh, suspicious. It's true. I do.
It is true. I do too.
I do.
Just like I have an
at-home everywhere. What is your
and I have a first bottle of ibuprofen. I have chapstick in every room of my house.
I have a
Listen, we'll be old when we have to do like the rolls of Tums. Okay, we're not there yet.
Who's not there yet?
Oh,
I have Tums. I don't use them, but I not frequently. But
when I get a baggie of little pieces of gum, like the little, what is it, Trident or what is the little tiny pieces of gum that grandmas always have?
Chiclets?
No, the little rectangle ones that come in the wrapper.
Oh God, no.
You know, I think it's Trident, isn't it?
Is it? No, Trident's is a rectangle.
Yeah, it's a rectangle.
Yeah, Trident.
It's wrapped in paper. It's little Trident.
Yeah, Trident. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my grandma always had baggies of those. She didn't keep them in the wrapper. She kept them in baggies with mints.
Oh, she's
And if
got
I
a handful?
start carrying that shit around, that's when I know I'm old.
You know what my mom had in her purse at all times? A fucking broken piece of candy cane. 365 days a year. She always had like a chunk of like pieces of candy cane. And I'd be like, Mom, what Christmas is that from?
It must
even
be
had
because she would get
Yep.
nauseous a lot.
No, because she's a smoker and she wanted to freshen her breath.
Oh,
man.
that's smart.
So I'd be like, Mom, why don't you just buy the little mints? I mean, I'm telling you guys, I really think that she had the same candy cane because I don't ever remember us, but maybe one or two Christmases having a fucking candy cane on our tree. I'm telling you, my mom had a fucking candy cane from 1986 all the way until
Do you want
1996.
some candy
And,
cane? You want
I
a piece
carry-
of peppermint?
I
And she
carry,
always had a-
peppermint drops, the essential oils, because I used to get nauseous a lot, all the time. So that's why I carry it.
Well, no, my mom had old candy canes and also Kleenex. She would always bust out
Always did
a
Kleenex.
used piece of Kleenex. Like,
It didn't
where's
matter. It was just
where-
some form of tissue crumbled up into a ball that always looked old. And then she'd be like, "It's not old. I just had it in my purse." And then you
Right.
get it out, and it's like, "No, that shit is used."
Exactly. And then you ask your mom, where's like your package of Kleenex? Why are you always down to only a single piece of tissue that's clearly been used? Did you throw the new unused shit away and just keep? What happened there? But she always had that. Always. Always. But you know what else she always had? She always had a quarter for the machines at the grocery store, where you could get the little bubble thing and you never knew what you were going to get. The little plastic thing, you know what I'm talking about? How to prize in it. My mom always had a fucking quarter for that.
My mom
was good
had like
that.
this little makeup mirror that had to just come with the hairbrush. It was like this really super cheap one, but it never cracked. It never died in her purse. And it was orange. I remember. And she always bought the same lipstick. I wish I knew what it was. It was like gold and it had like the outside was like ridges. It wasn't just like smooth. It was just like,
Maybe it's probably Estee Lauder.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It probably was. Oh,
you know how I know? Because my mom loves Estee Lauder.
Yeah, that was her favorite thing. Like we have to go to the mall. We had to go to the counter to buy it. Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Yeah, use Kleenex. Yes, Shamita. Here, thank you, Shamita. Used Kleenex, and she has the gall to speak on flip-flops. Do you know that my mom comes to Sam, our Sam, and tells Sam to tell me all the time to stop wearing jeans and flip-flops?
Why?
It bothers her. I know it bothers my mom that I do it. It would bother her in life, and I'm not shocked that it bothers her in death. It's the only fucking message no life lessons, no hope for where I might be, what I might look forward to in the afterlife. Oh, hell no. She's critical to the very end. Why you got jeans and flip-flops on, Jen? You know better.
Are you not allowed to wear flip-flops or just not jeans with flip-flops?
It's the flip-flops and the jeans she doesn't like. But they're not actually jeans. They're capris. But she doesn't like it. My mom was always like that.
When I was 20.
She won't like me either then.
No, my mom just is, that's how she is not a big fan of the flip-flops is the problem, period. She also was never a fan of flip-flops. They're bad for your feet. And
they are bad for your feet. But I wear them all the time.
I can tell you, my mom would never make it in Florida in real shoes. I mean, there was a couple of times this year where it got cold. And by the way, it was 79 degrees today. It was beautiful. Do you know what it's going to be tomorrow?
What?
60. What kind of bullshit is that?
I don't know. We've actually had the
coldest
temperatures ever here. I have never been so cold in my life, and I'm a hot person.
Like cold to like my bones.
Yeah, it's cold as crap here.
It's like
it's cold here.
It's a cold wind. Like
yes,
it was raining the other day. It was like ice rain. It was so weird because a lot of times the rain isn't cold out here. Like you can just run to your car. It's not a big deal. But like a couple of days ago, it was like ice cold rain. It wasn't like some snowing. It was freezing.
Yeah, that's how it's been here. And I've said this repeatedly. Listen, I know that there are different weather and that people actually have winter and shit like that. I'm from Texas. We have the seasons too. Okay. But I am in Florida now. I escaped the seasons, and I don't understand why you people who live in Penguin Land, Shmita, let your weather leak down here.
Yeah,
Take it
keep
back the
that
fuck
shit.
with you.
Keep that shit where you are.
We don't want it.
I don't. My husband's like, I think it's going to snow. And I'm like, dude, I wouldn't even be surprised at this point. It's been so cold this winter. I mean, like, we
Yes.
normally have like a couple weeks of winter that it's like, okay, it's kind of cold. I should probably get a sweatshirt. Like, I feel like I live in my sweatshirt at this point. Like, that's just
Yes. I've had to put
Jen,
on
were you
socks.
there on that live that they were trying to explain to me and Teresa? Because we thought they were saying like -20, and we were like, they must be talking about Celsius or something. Like we were like, we don't understand.
doesn't make
They're like,
sense.
no, that's
Negative.
the actual temperature.
Yes, look at Shmita's over here talking about -20. Shmita,
And we said,
Do
what
you-
does that even feel like? And she sent
do you
pictures
go
of
out
like,
and feed the penguins? I'm always telling Shmita that. Shmita, go feed the penguins.
Do you have
That's where I
polar
came
bears
up
there?
with. Huh?
I said, do they have polar bears there?
They probably,
No.
I don't know, probably, no,
That's on
no,
that-
I don't,
Antarctica.
It's not cold enough.
no, I just
What
don't,
is,
I
what's
don't know.
the bottom? Oh my God. What's up top?
have-
It's Antarctica or at bottom? North Pole, and then is that the name of it? The whole thing is called the North Pole, or what's it called? Oh my
That's just
God,
the
I feel
top.
like an idiot.
That's the top.
Santa
How-
lip.
Is it Antarctica and South Arctica, or what?
No, and there's no
Antarctica?
South Antarctica. There's no, no, there's no, now even I know that shit, and I'm horrible.
Tell me
with
the name of the
geography.
continents. Oh my God.
Antarctica, Europe, Asia, Australia, North
What's the one
America.
on the bottom?
Are you sure?
I'm looking it up.
Me too. Fuck this. I'm hitting the Googles.
This is
I did not come on this live to be
Me
treated
neither.
this way.
I didn't come on this live to have a fucking geography quiz, but whatever.
Are you smarter than a fifth grader?
Arctic. I think we're all wrong. What is the name of the bottom continent?
Asia, Africa, North America, South America, Antarctica, Europe, and
It's a
Australia.
pole, but it's not just called like North Pole and South Pole. It's like
I think it's just the Arctic.
Yeah, Antarctica is a whole ass continent, and
is
it's
it ants? Is it
But I
ants
don't
mean like
think that
below?
I don't think the Arctic is low though, right?
Wait,
Ant-
does it ant?
Antarctica, Antarctica.
What is ant? What is the
Antarctica.
Latin
Hold on, I'm
ante?
going to tell you. At the bottom, it's on the south.
Can
pole.
somebody Google, please?
I am telling you where it's at. It's on the south. It's at the bottom of all the other continents.
And it's just called.
Antarctica.
Wait, Antarctica's
Antarctica.
bottom.
Yes,
what's
Antarctica
on
is
top?
the bottom.
Greenland?
Yeah,
North
not
Pole?
a continent.
Is North Pole the name of the continent?
No, it's
No.
just a no. It's not a continent. It is.
A country
There-
or just land?
The
I
North
don't
Pole's in
know.
Alaska.
Alaska. So it's
Slowly-
There's
not a
7
country. It's
continents.
Land.
Asia. Okay, listen. Asia, Africa, North America, South America, Antarctica, Europe, and Australia. There's no Arctica.
So
There's
there's
the
no
Arctic.
North. Oh
What?
no, the
If you
Antarctica
listen
is
to
at
me,
the bottom.
yes, for the 75th time.
Yeah, and then
That
on top
is
of
correct.
Canada is just North Pole.
No,
Yes.
that's in-
Our whole chat doesn't really. I think we all don't know as much as I don't. So.
The Arctic is the
The-
north.
Yeah, but it's
Okay.
not a continent.
No, it's just
That's
the
what I'm
water.
trying to tell her. That's what I'm trying to tell her. It's just
Okay,
cold
this
as
is
balls
part of
up
the
there,
landmass.
but it's not a
Got it.
fucking continent. It's just it's just its
Well, I was
vacation
trying to remember what we
destination.
called it, but we just call it North Pole.
Right, that North Pole would be in the Arctic.
And we haven't
Yes.
even bothered to name it
No,
because we
No,
use
it
the
there's
doesn't
not
bottom.
have a
enough
name.
because there's not enough
Abortion.
mass. There's not enough land up there for us to call it anything. I don't know. And I don't.
Mars. I don't know.
So, hold
This
on.
is gonna get clipped.
Call it an
This is
Incel
What was the point of this whole? Why did we
Who
get stuck
fucking
in
knows?
this?
Christine
It's
just
in
comes in here
Celtica.
with her random ass. Where's Antarctica?
It's
And then
in
the-
Celtica.
and then throws the whole thing off. We're going to be clipped. We're going to be on 87 different clip channels about how ridiculous we are.
We don't know anything about geography.
We could, yeah, we have dissected Brian Kohberger's entire mental health history, and we don't even know what the fuck we have to Google the fucking continents. And then we're still arguing about where the fuck we're at.
Okay,
Oh my God, I'm dying.
thanks for singling me out. That's fine. I just thought I had friends.
I love when I look it up. It brings me to the Climate Kids website. Like, here you go, you fucking idiot.
That's
The
where it took
children
me
even
too.
know.
It took me exactly there too. Like, here, hey, Dum Dum, we're gonna put this with a cartoon and a fucking song so you'll
Yeah.
remember. You better hope that you don't meet up with a serial killer who fucking grills you on shit like this. And
No,
your only
that's
hope
what
is
Christine's gonna do. If she gets caught by a serial killer, she's
Business, and
gonna
you're
be
just
like, "Wait a
holding
minute,
right down.
before we go any further with this unaliving, I need to know
right, and she's gonna use that word too.
continent is the North Pole in Antarctica? Which one's
Is it
colder?
Is it an actual place, and who lives there?
Yep, they're gonna be like, just forget it, just go, just get out of here.
You guys. Don't
Shit, I knew I should have had maps up the whole time. I could have been like, look at how smart I am. I know
Are you
exactly.
guys still my
what I'm-
friends? I know that's embarrassing. I didn't know that, but everybody, please
I
forgive
didn't know it. I had to
me.
look it up.
I had
I
to
mean, I
look
knew
it
that
up.
North Pole wasn't a continent. I didn't know that part.
Vincent, don't hold it against me, please.
Well, here's the thing. Okay. I did not, the name of my channel is not the Ward Geographic Studies. Okay. So if your ass came here to learn some shit about
I can
geography, you are in
guarantee
the
you-
wrong place because we finna learn together and be wrong together. Okay.
I guarantee you, if they find a cold case, literally cold case, of Brian Kohberger from the North Pole, we're gonna know every fucking inch of that damn place by tomorrow.
We will.
Cold case.
We will. We will. And Christine G, that's me, will be working on a topographical map.
Absolutely. I'll be able to tell you every street that it intersects and which way the person was going. I'll know everything about it.
And my contribution will be all the getaway places and the loopholes. Here's where he could have driven to avoid the cameras. Idiot.
Just put a crime there and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, that's what you need to. You know what? I'm thinking about this cell phone pings and stuff too. I'm curious about how all that's going to work. I know how they work. I know what but I'm curious as to if it's 10 minutes between his house and their house, roughly, right? Is it 10 minutes or 10 miles?
Miles.
About both.
Who?
I thought it was 10 miles.
Wait, well, what is it, Teresa? Is it miles or minutes or both?
Miles or minutes?
Yeah. How
Both.
far away? Both. Okay.
Yeah.
That's not that far.
No. I think when they
Probably all
call
three
him
ways.
the next day, they say that it's like it takes them 11 minutes one way and I think 12 minutes the other way or something like that. They actually have the times that they clock him and it's not very long when he's driving straight through. Yeah, it's like 9 miles, 10 minutes, 12 minutes. Yeah.
That's interesting. Wonder how many cell towers they have and how much they cover.
There's a map of that somebody was talking about.
Dr.
yesterday.
B and I looked it up and the capabilities, and you know what the capabilities are dependent on? Your carrier. Guess who's the biggest snitch carrier of them all?
T-Mobile.
AT&T.
Oh, really?
Yes. AT&T be telling all your shit. Yeah.
So Fairway Fly says flip-flops in New Zealand are called jandals. Jandals instead of sandals? I don't know where the
Flip-flops
heck
at
the
my
base
house
is.
are flip-flops, or these are my chanclas.
Or
either one.
thongs.
I can't say thongs because of the chonis now.
So, when I was a manager at Walmart, they have the people greeters that are at the door. Now they're like more like security, but they were just there to like greet people and kind of to watch if anybody was stealing anything. And there was this older lady who worked up front, and she said she walking the management staff, and she was like, "Somebody's running out of the store with thongs. Somebody's running out of the store with thongs." And so we go up there, and we're like, "Shit! Somebody just stole a bunch of underwear or something, right?" A pair of sandals, flip flops, and so she's screaming on the walkie-talkie though that somebody's stealing thongs.
When I was a kid, my mom used to spank us with her shoe, with her sandal, and so I remember.
Chancla. Don't say
Yeah.
she's like, she didn't know. Nobody that has any level of Mexican in them got hit with a sandal. They got hit with a fucking chancla, and you know it.
Yeah, well, her shoe.
Everything is a chancla too.
Anyways, but, I remember one time my dad went to the store and came back with a fly swatter, but it was a flip flop on a stick, like a flip flop, a small one. But my mom put it in the car, and she used to, and then whenever we'd start being bad in the car, she would reach back with her flip flop on a stick.
You know what,
Physically put a flip flop on a stick.
It was a fly swatter, but she had it in her car, and she would hit us with it.
Do you know what my mom used to do? My mom was a pincher, and she would get you up under your arm, where your armpit and your arm is, that there's just that one spot that is not, you can't have muscle there. It is just fat, no matter how skinny you were. And she would pinch that and twist it a little bit, and then she'd lean over and talk in your ear and be like, "Wait till I get you home." That's what she used to do to us. Wait till you get home.
Wow, that hurts me right now.
But my mom was a lot of fun too. She would forget by the time we got home too. I mean, my mom only snitched on us, like really escalated the call to the real demon to my dad whenever it was like the last resort. Like we did something that mainly scared her. It wasn't even that we did anything bad, but we did something that scared the shit out of her. Like, not come home on time or something, and we scared her. And then she would involve my dad. Wait till your dad gets home and tell him everything. And then my dad would be questioning me and my sister, and they had to question us separate. As long as I was there, Julie would not say shit. But if they separated us, oh my God.
Now you know why the cops do what they do.
Yeah, they would never, my parents never could crack me, but my sister would be telling on this crime and crimes from past crimes that the statute of limitations had fucking run out on. And she's just, and we did.
She's like, "Look, see, I was the one that told you the truth. I need to cut me a deal."
You know what I used to tell her? They're going to go to work, and you and I are going to be home alone. Who are you more scared of, Jules? That's what I would tell her. Shut up. Stop talking. She got it after a while. But when we were young, man, they could just separate us, and she would just sing like a fucking canary. It used to drive me nuts. That's why my parents let me take her everywhere, because she was a snitch.
See, my mom wouldn't spank us or spank me. My brother was like my disciplinarian. He thought he was like my boss. And then when my mom would get mad at me, my brother would get mad at me for getting in trouble when he wasn't around, because then he couldn't protect me, because he was the only one who could try to discipline me.
Oh, Lord. See, I was the oldest, so I ran the show.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm the baby.
Oh, give me 1 sec. I'll be right back.
Okay.
My cousins used to do this thing, and it's not politically correct, and everybody just forgive me. I'm just saying the word that we used to say when I was a kid. But they would like twist, like they called it an Indian burn. I don't know why, but they like put their hands on my arm. You know what that is? And then twist in opposite directions. I
don't know what the politically correct term for that is now.
I don't know why they called it that in the first place.
I have no idea either. That's just what it was. You know what my brother used to do? He would pin me down and he would poke me in the chest repeatedly.
Ow.
Yeah, that shit hurt.
I've had Jack my son run out to the garage and tell me, "Mom, Sissy called me a fucker." And then I turn around and I say, "I know she didn't. You are the one that says that." My son is
My
a potty
kids
mouth.
didn't tattle on each other. The older three, and then I thought when I had my youngest that I would be able to get her to rat on them, like, but she wouldn't do it either. I had to do like investigative work. That's probably why I'm so good at true crime, because my kids tried to pull some shit, and I had to do a lot of detectiving to catch them. They were not confessors, and they didn't rat on each other.
I was a blackmailer.
My
The only
sister
thing
was too.
The only thing that I stole in my life was a pack of number 2 pencils. Like a big pack. Like, they have like the little packs that have like 10 in them, and then those 10 packs come in like a pack of 10. So it's like 100 pack of number 2 pencils. I had a really weird, I love stationery and pencils and stuff like that. I always have erasers. I don't know, I'm weird. And so I stole this big pack of number 2 pencils and my mom was a retail manager, so I stole it from her work. My brother,
oh my god,
spot.
He loved stealing batteries, and so he had drawers full of batteries, all different sizes. And so my mom found this big pack of number 2 pencils in my closet, and she knew she didn't buy it for me, so she was like, "Where did this come from?" And I was like, "I need a minute." And so I went to my brother, and I was like, "You tell mom that you helped me take those number 2 pencils, or I'm telling her that you stole all those batteries." So he had to go in and like say that he helped me so that I didn't tell on him. That's what I did.
Oh my. Okay, one time. This was before I had my youngest daughter. I was pregnant with her. And we came into the living room, and there is a gummy bear, a red gummy bear, stuck to the wall. And all we asked was, who did it? And nobody would crack. And this went on, and my husband and I, they wouldn't crack, and they wouldn't crack, and they wouldn't crack. And we left that gummy bear up there. And my oldest son finally said, "All right, I'm going to take one for the team. And I'm just going to tell mom and dad I did it." I knew he didn't do it. I knew my Elizabeth didn't do it. I know who did it. We knew who did it. It was the middle one. It's always the middle one. When they make those memes about the second child, that one, look at them. They don't give a fuck. They're absolutely correct. This one never gave a fuck. He came out the womb, no fucks given. And I said, "Did you really do it?" And he said, "No, mom, I didn't. We just wanted to watch TV. So I took the blame." And I said, "Go sit down." With that damn gummy bear stayed on that wall until we moved out of that house for months. I really thought that my middle son, he would have to see it and feel guilty. And he never did. I should have that. "Hey, Mel, what you doing?" I really should have known that about that one, because the gummy bear did not crack him. The gummy bear did not crack him, and he's still a heathen.
Aww. They're cute though.
They are cute. They are cute.
Right. Shmita said that her mom used to stick her tongue in their eyes.
What kind of discipline goes on in the Canadas, Shmita? What is happening up there?
I had a weird thing about germs when I was a kid, and I would have jumped off the bridge.
She said now her and her siblings do it to each other. So,
oh my god.
One time my sister was changing light bulbs, and she had one in her hand, and she hit me in the head with it, and of course it broke and all the glass, and she felt horrible. I still bring that one up to her. "Hey, remember that time you got glass all in my hair?" Yeah.
One time I jumped on my sister, and my sister was eating her cup of noodle in like the big chair, the lazy boy, and I jumped on it when I was little, and it spilled on her, and she was wearing we had come home from church. She was wearing tights, so like it spilled on her, and then kept like she couldn't get it off fast enough. She had a bandage on her butt after she got home from the hospital for like a week.
God.
Do you know that one time me and my sister, and I don't know why we wanted to do this. Every house we ever lived in, the house I grew up in for till I was 10 in Arizona, it was a 4-bedroom. And there's only 2 of us. So my parents had a room, we each had a room, and then there was the middle room. And we, for whatever reason, decided we wanted to share a room. Why? I don't fucking know. Because then there was a couple of times we were forced to share a room, and it was miserable. But we had moved all of the furniture, right? My mom was taking a nap, and she gets up from her nap, and we're like, "Look, Mom." And my mom says, "No, I've told you girls repeatedly, move that shit back. So we did. Twin beds, dressers, the whole nine, right? My sister's fucking around and the metal frame is leaning up against the wall and she catches herself on it in between her pinky toe and the fourth
Oh my
toe.
God, stop
Do
it.
you know that kid hopped with me helping her all the way from the bedroom down the hall and into the bathroom, and not one drop of blood was spilt on that carpet because we knew that we were going to get our butts whooped if there was blood on the carpet. So it won't stop bleeding. So finally I have to fucking escalate the call to my manager, who's my mom. So I call my mom in there and she's like, this is my mom's favorite thing. She used to say it all the time. And then if you say it around her, she'd get so mad. But she goes, God damn it. Now I got to take your ass to the emergency room. Let's go. So we get to the emergency room and my sister has to have stitches or whatever. And we get back to the house and she says, I swear to God, if there is one drop of blood on this hallway, I'm getting the belt, right? And me and my sister are like, okay, that's it. We're not getting punished at all because there's no fucking blood, which there wasn't. Instead, my mom said, well, you're still punished, right? So then my mom used to come up with the long restriction. We were never grounded. She always had to be bougie about it.
Us too.
You're on restriction. We're grounded, you mean?
Yeah.
And you can't talk to one another. So me and my sister took paper cups and we had them tied with string and had them tied in a loop around the doorknobs and we were passed messages. Yeah. We used to do some crazy ass shit, me and my sister.
It's good
I know
times.
why my mom is crazy. We drove her there. We did. She was perfectly normal.
Absolutely.
Just
Same with
like
mine.
me. Do you guys think you should have met me when I was younger. I was way cooler. I was real chill. Nothing ever got me upset. I didn't give a fuck. And I would tell people where to go all the time. And if they couldn't figure out, I'd draw them a map. I was that kind of person.
Yep.
My kids broke me. You are only getting like 1/8 of Jen because I'm damaged from their asses. And my kids have done a number on me. And now my granddaughter, which my daughter's Elizabeth used to scare the shit out of me too. She used to do some crazy ass shit her damn self, and health wise too. We thought she had, I was changing her diaper one time when she was 2 and there was a lump and, in her groin. So we took her to the emergency room.
Oh no.
And you know what they thought it was? They thought that she had a hernia and that her ovary was strangulated in it. And so we had to get her surgery, which I think was like a week later. So we're preparing for a surgery where they tell us at 2 years old, they're going to remove one of our daughter's ovaries, which could potentially render her sterile because you don't know until you're older, right? And we were freaked out about it, scared the shit out of us. And I'll never forget being back there with the anesthesiologist because they give little ones a suppository. And she went from being just this little chatty Cathy, right, to all of a sudden like just limp in my arms. I mean, like that scared the shit out of me. Anyways, it turns out that she had an enlarged lymph node. Do you know that the lymph node that they removed from Elizabeth is the same lymph node that they removed from Olivia when they were doing the testing? Mm-hmm.
Really?
You want to hear something else messed up? When I was pregnant with Elizabeth, she was getting, her little body as she's growing and being a girl had all the eggs she's ever going to have. So technically I was pregnant with Olivia too. It's true.
Well, half of her.
Half of her. I was pregnant with the Olive.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
you don't get
the
part,
Olive.
you don't get the last part.
Yeah, but isn't that weird that they had the same lymph node removed? Yeah,
That is crazy.
Yeah, she scared the shit out of me. And then, the youngest had febrile seizures. She scared the shit out of me with that one. Yeah, that's why I'm broken, you guys. That's why I can't remember shit. That's why I talk like I do. That's why I use words like 11 billion and all the things that I do.
You made a very good point the other day in my chat on why that is a necessity in life.
It is, because then people be trying to pin you down with a number when you're really trying to be exaggerative.
They're like, seriously, 15? And I was like, no, I exaggerated. But Jen, here comes Jen. She's like, this is why I say 11 billion, Teresa.
Do you know somebody came in my comment section, this was a long time ago, to give me a rash of shit about using the term 11 billion, or maybe it might have been 1100. They took great offense to that term. Don't know why. You know what I did? I hated it and went on about my day.
Remember the lady that said, "Do these women know they're being broadcast live on air?"
Oh gosh, I remember that one. Because why? Because we were making jokes.
They're broadcast. We're like the same fucking CNN. What are you
Right.
talking about?
Right.
Jen, I love your thumbnail behind us.
Thank you. I made
you
that
did a
all
good
by
job.
myself.
That is a great one. Great job.
Thank you.
I love it.
Unfortunately,
Tutorials.
ladies, I have to hop off. I have to go get
I
a little
know.
person to bed.
I have to too. It's midnight here.
Oh yeah, it's late for you.
Yeah, and I got shit I have to do tomorrow. Plus, I got to get back on that trial. So, if you guys are here, not just for the Idaho 4, I'm back on the Mark Jensen and the 110 references to penises in the appeal decision. 110 times that word was mentioned. No essay. That's crazy. So, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but we're back on that trial, and so we're going to be talking about that tomorrow night.
How's it looking right now? I'm so behind. I'm behind on that one. I'm behind on Larry Milletti's preliminary trial.
I know, and I wanted to cover that one too because I wanted to show people what we would be in for potentially, you know, what the process is for Kohberger.
Yeah.
But then I turned into the Jensen trial, and the prosecutor says, Your Honor, in Jensen 2, the Court of Appeals used the word penis 110 times in its decision. I think that's a record for Wisconsin. And right then I was like, who? Maletti who? I was stuck on that crime. And it's so far, it's kind of what they're doing now is they're up to like the medical examiner, the paramedics that arrived. That's what they're talking about now. Because
are you following the one about the kid who unalived his mom, dad, and sister
and shot himself in the foot? And the story he told the Popo.
Yes, that one too. I'm like, that's yes. I'm like, there's too much. There's too much in true crime right now.
Yes. Well, Monday is Murdaugh.
Oh my gosh.
I can't. Yeah. Well, then, and next week is supposed to be the West Boys.
Yeah. And but guess who's not going to be next? Like who should have been next? Sarah Boone. Fuck you, Sarah Boone. Tired of your shit. She's going to
use Sarah Boone is what, April?
Yes, because her lawyer had the vid, and I guess it's a requirement that they meet one time in person. And you know she'd be writing him all them fucked off letters. Remember I read those? And she's got a new one. I have to find it. I'll read it out. But anyway,
Teresa, you handled all the school and stuff with anything else, but I just wrote a paper about the FBI Anom phone, the one that they did where they arrested everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And that didn't suck.
Well, good.
That didn't suck. You remember Shabusiness? Remember Taylor Shabusiness?
Yes.
Yeah, her trial's coming up in March too.
Jeez. Megan's not going to make Boswell's not going to be till the 25th or 2025. I meant not 25th. But
so you got Michael Turney, who I just put this list back together. Just had to do all the updates. He's in March. Then you've got.
Thank you, Anna. Welcome to members. Thank you for becoming a kookaloo. Okay,
and
sorry,
then
Tracy.
Troy Driver. Remember Naomi Irion, the one that was kidnapped in. Yeah. So his prelim is in February. Serenity McKinney's mom and mom's boyfriend trial, January 31st. I don't even know if many people even remember this case.
Courtney
Amber
Clinton.
Robertson. You guys remember Amaya Robertson?
Yes. Courtney Clinton's coming too.
Yep.
In April.
Then you've got Teresa Balboa for Samuel Olson.
Oh, yeah. Hers is good.
That's February.
Sheila Keene is coming too.
Terrell Rhodes in April. For
They're all coming. Yeah, they're all coming.
Aiden Fucci, February.
Well, why didn't I just
now Fauci is when Fucci is it Fauci? Aiden Fauci? Yeah, Fauci.
I call him Fucci.
Fauci. I'm gonna that one I will cover. I'm very
When did you say Boswell got moved to 2025?
Yes.
When did that happen? Because I looked it up last night. It was February 2023.
Nope. Let me look it up again. I looked it up when I was so I was I have like 8 videos that I'm in different spots on working on. And the one I was going to put like a video out to highlight all the upcoming trials that I'm going to cover on this channel. And I went to look up Megan Boswell, and I'm going to look it up right now.
Okay.
And that was Monday or Tuesday. Yeah. Lawyer, December 14th, 2022. Judge gives Megan Boswell's new lawyer more time in postponing murder trial until 2025.
What? Can you send me that article?
Knoxville News Sentinel. Yeah, I will send it to you.
And you got Megan Faramuska scheduled for March, and then you got the Daybells in April. It's a whole mess. Here's a whole mess.
But it doesn't matter because the ward and criminality is going to get you through it.
No, we are. We're going to do our best anyway. Serenity's parents. Yeah, I'd like to see that one.
I sent it.
That was the very first case I went live on Criminality was Serenity McKinney's case.
Yep, I remember that.
Well, I'm
the beginning of this year is a disaster.
I have to get through this only semester, you guys. So.
And then
yes.
and
you
then
focus on that.
And then 7 years from now, it'll be Kohberger.
Yeah,
I really hope
that's not going to happen for a long time.
No, but I will say this. I just want to say this one little like not high horse soapbox thing, and then I'm like a sermon, but not like a Chris Watts sermon on the porch, because that was a disaster.
Well, get on with it, Jen.
A good sermon. Shut up, Christine G. I'll mute you. I really hope that everybody that has followed this case, the Kohberger case, follows it all the way through to trial, because I think it's really important to understand how you will learn everything that occurred in a trial. Everything that took place in that home will be presented in court, and we will hear every single detail. But more than that, you'll understand the process. And so when another case comes out and probable cause affidavits are released, search warrants, probable cause hearings, blah, 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 all those things, you'll understand the process. I didn't learn about it or I don't know about it because I'm smart. I know about it because I watched. That's how I learned, which is how I know that Brian shouldn't have. There's no reason for him to take that phone. That is a rookie mistake and a really dumb one, which is why I think it's intentional. And I rest my case. But I really do. I hope everybody watches the trial, because I think it's important to understand and follow through the whole entire case. So that way, when the next case comes out, because there'll be a next one, there always is, you'll understand the process a little better.
Yeah, I love trials. I know that a lot of people don't necessarily like the trial part, but I do. I really enjoy the trials. I don't like to necessarily watch them live because I want to skip through some of the the jargon that I don't feel is, they do a sidebar for 25 minutes. I don't want to sit there for that.
Yeah, some of that shit gets tedious.
Yep.
Which I think that's why I don't want to stream in the morning anymore, because of those situations that occur. And it's better for me to watch the trial during the day and then give you the highlight reel at night.
Yeah,
it's
I like
way
that.
Better it's way better. And so,
that's
what I'm going to be doing.
You were like the only place that there was to convene in the morning, which was nice.
I know, but I think for the Jensen trial, actually either one, the Iowa one or the Wisconsin one, are good ones to watch in the morning so far, because they've been full of a lot of stuff. But I'm really excited to see Kohberger's trial, honestly, because I want to see this defense lawyer. I'm hearing a lot of good things about her, and I'm also hearing a lot of good things about the prosecutor as well. Like, don't let the Santa beard fool you. He came to play. He's not playing with this fool. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He's quite capable. And I'm very curious about what his defense is going to be. And I want to see her in action.
I'm still going to be surprised if it gets there, but we'll see.
What do you think? He'll take a plea?
I have a gut feeling that Mom is going to come in with this whole anti-death penalty thing when they announce it. When they announce officially that they're going for the death penalty, especially around the prelim, when the defense has all the, a lot more of the discovery and most of the evidence, I just have a feeling that Mom is going to come in and be like, you need to do something so you don't die.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. For him, I don't think it'll matter, but
for his family, I think it will, and I think that's when he'll consider it.
Do you think yeah, maybe I mean, he might want to just, maybe he will cave under pressure from his mom. I don't know though.
I don't know, obviously either, but it could go all the way. I don't
know. I mean,
the mom is she's so adamant with all the stuff she's done against the death penalty.
mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be hard for him.
Yeah, moms can give you, there's no guilt like mom guilt, that's for sure.
Right.
I just feel like, I don't know, I do think that she is going to try to dissuade him. I do. But I don't think that he'll cave. I think that if he gets, I don't know. If he takes the plea deal, I mean, you could argue that usually that brings less infamy. People don't want to talk to you, but then there's fucking Chris
There's what?
Watts.
Good night, Ann. Good night, Punksy.
Fucking
Everybody's going to
good
bed.
night, you guys. Yeah, everybody is going to bed.
Idaho. Yeah, I got to go get the little one to bed.
Me too,
But
me
Jen,
too, me
thank
too.
you so much for asking me to come
Thanks
up here
for-
and talk
I'm
about
so
this.
glad you did.
I love hanging out with you.
I do too. I love hanging out with you too. We
You're
got to do
welcome.
this. God, thank you, Christine G, for coming up.
You're welcome.
We were getting to you. Calm. Don't. Sheesh.
Well, I love you both.
Love you.
I love you guys
too,
in chat.
girls.
Thank you guys for
Love
being
you
so
guys
cool.
in chat too. Thanks for being so cool, you guys. Good
Bye,
night.
everybody.
Thank you for the
Bye.
super chats. Thank you for becoming members, and I'll see you guys back here tomorrow night.
Bye.
Okie dokie. All right. Bye.